All right, this is episode, what did I say, 31? No, 32.
32.
32. This one is going to be, it's going to be about the end of the world. But first, I'm going to tell you about I don't even know what to call it, just like the stress and agony and pain that I've been through all day with, with my internet company. These people, my internet company is Suddenlink.
Yeah. Oh, that's one of the worst.
These people, this is the worst internet company I've ever dealt with in my entire existence. I would go as far as to say they are the worst internet company that has ever existed in the history of ever. So this so like they have me so stressed out today. I'm ready to just rip all my hair out and then just like move cross country, change my name, and just live under a rock, and just never even get on the internet ever again. Like that's how stressed out these people have made me today.
Yeah.
So this is my history with these people. Whenever I first got Suddenlink internet, my bill was like I was paying I think $60 a month is what I was paying. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That was 4 years ago that I've had them.
Yeah.
So since then, over the last 4 years, and keep in mind, this whole time I've had the same service this entire 4 years. 200 megabytes download, and like it's supposed to be 20 upload, but I only get like 17 upload. So those two speeds, that's the same speeds I've had for 4 years now, right? I started off paying $60 a month for that, okay?
Yeah.
Over the last 4 years, every like 6 months, they bump it up. And they keep bumping it up and they bump it up. To now I'm paying like $113. So almost double in 4 years for the exact same service that I've had for this entire 4 years, right? So that's been my first problem this whole time. And every time they raise the price, I call them, hey, why is my bill going up? It's supposed to be this much. And they go, oh, well, sir, we have to raise our prices so that we can continue to deliver quality service. And then that's the line they feed me. Like every 6 months, they tell me that same line. And then 3, 4, 6 months later, it'll raise up again, and I'll call them. Why is my bill going up again? You didn't give me a notice, nothing. And they go, well, sir, we have to ensure we have to service. Yeah, we got to keep up our good quality service. And I'm like, yeah, good quality service. Let me know when you get that. So, but up until this point, the actual quality of the internet hasn't been a problem. It's actually been really good. Upload, download, everything's been great. They just keep charging me more money for it, which I don't like, but I would deal with because the internet's literally my job. That's what I have to do. So, and I should also put on top of this Suddenlink in this area has a monopoly because there's literally not a single other internet company that services this area. That's it. Like I've checked every single one in this whole state. There's not a single one that does it except for Suddenlink. Yeah. So I'm screwed there. So I can't even go to somebody else if I want to. So they have you pinned in a corner basically. So on top of them raising, they've been raising up the price all these years, all 4 years, over and over and over and over and over. And which made me mad. Not a huge deal, but very annoying. So then about 2 weeks ago, then I don't have like concrete evidence of this, but I'm 99% sure that they are throttling my internet connection. Because obviously, whenever I film videos, I film all the videos and then I upload all of the footage to Google, and then I send it to my editor through Google, and then he edits it and sends it all back. So usually I'm usually uploading about 40 to 70 gigs is usually about what I'm uploading. So that usually takes, let's just say 40 gigs. 40 gigs would usually take about 8 to 12 hours, somewhere right in that ballpark, right?
Yeah.
So now, about 2 weeks ago, I noticed that whenever I tried to upload 40 gigs, it said it was going to take like 35 hours or something. So I was like, okay,
Yeah.
that's kind of weird. Maybe there's like a something going on or whatever. So like I did everything I could on my end. I like reset my router and went through all that stuff, and nothing changed. So I figured, okay, maybe there's just like maybe they're having a problem, whatever. And I waited the 35 hours for all that footage to upload, and then I just didn't think a whole lot about it. So then yesterday, I finished a video yesterday, and I go to upload it, and this video is a pretty big one, so it's 80 gigs, right? That would normally take that should take somewhere around 14-ish to 15 hours-ish to upload is what it would normally take.
Mm-hmm.
So I go to upload it, and then it tells me that it's going to take like 75 hours to upload. So over 3 days to upload video, which is just completely unacceptable. I can't wait 3 days. I could literally, at that speed, I could literally put it on a flash drive, put it in an envelope, and mail it to him, and it would get to him faster than uploading it, which is just insane. That should never be the case.
Yeah.
So then I figured, all right, well, something's wrong here. So I checked my internet speed like through a speed test. And the speed test says that everything is the speed that it's always been all 4 years. So then I thought, okay, that's kind of weird. Why does my speed say that it's the same when it's not? You know, if my speed's the same, then it shouldn't take 75 hours to upload this footage. So I recently got a brand deal with NordVPN. So with that brand deal, they gave me a year free of service from their VPN. So I kind of had this idea in my head that that Suddenlink was throttling my connection is what I started thinking. So you know what a VPN does, right?
Yeah.
So I turned on the VPN and connected to I think a server like in Georgia or something, or New York maybe, some other state. So I connect to that server, and then I drop that footage. Or before this, I had one video file that I uploaded twice. I put it in to upload without the VPN, and said it was going to take like an hour and a half to upload or something, or an hour and 15 minutes, I think, to upload. So then I canceled that, turned on the VPN, and then put the same video file in, and it took 13 minutes to upload. So I was like, oh, okay, so they really are throttling me. This is what's happening. So then I put all the footage that have been trying to upload this whole time that said it was going to take like 75 hours to upload. I put all that to upload, and it said it was going to take like 9 hours or something, because I had like 3/4 of it. I'd already uploaded a quarter of it, so like the last 3/4 of it was going to take like 9 hours, which was about normal, is what it would normally take. So I go, oh, okay, they're throttling my connection. I just need to use a VPN from now on. So it's uploading, and then about 2 hours into it uploading, I'm checking on it, and then all of a sudden it just goes like, and then it's like something switches, and then it goes right back to like 70-something hours. And then they started throttling my connection again. So like I don't have concrete proof. Like I don't know exactly that's what's happening, but it seems pretty suspicious that the second I turn on the VPN for the first time, that it drops the upload time by that much, and then after a while, then it just like goes away. And then now it doesn't work. Like I can turn the VPN on or off or whatever, and it and the speed's the same. So I'm assuming that they've just started throttling my entire connection.
Out of spite, or just like what do you think they're doing it for?
Well, they're probably doing it because I use up so much bandwidth. Because I'm uploading probably close to 500 to 800 gigabytes a month. And that's, I mean, they're a typical data limit for home internet's like 250 gigs.
Yeah.
But I have I should have unlimited data because I pay extra for unlimited data, and it's not supposed to have any data cap, no throttling, nothing. But there's clearly something going on, and I'm gonna be really suspicious if I'm gonna have to figure out whichever day they start the new month, because I think it's like on the 22nd or something. So if like on the 22nd all of a sudden the speed goes right back to normal, then they are throttling, and that's messed up.
No.
So, also, I got on the customer service chat thing, and they asked me, like, they say, like, oh, what's the problem? And then, of course, they treat you like you're an idiot, like you've never even been on a computer before. So I type in the chat. They like ask what's wrong. I type in the chat, and I said, you're throttling my internet connection, is what I typed. And then they were like, well, sir, can you give us your account number so we can confirm, blah, blah, blah. So I give them the account number. And they're like, hold on a minute. I just have to check and see how many devices are connected to your internet. So then I just type, I'm like, there's 2 computers and a phone. And then there's just like no response. And he's like, I understand, sir, but I have to do my check or something. And I'm like, do you want me to just tell you what's wrong? And he just didn't respond. And I was like, this is what's wrong. This amount of data used to take like 10 hours or 15 hours, and now it's taking 60. That's my problem. And then he goes, and I said, you're throttling my connection. And I made sure to say it again. And then he goes, well, hold on, sir. Let me do this. Let me do a speed test. And I said, I've done a speed test. The speed test says that it's fine, that it's the same speed it always is, but you're throttling my connection. That's the problem. And then he says, I understand, sir. And then like huh?
He's gonna keep on bushing you.
Yeah, like and treating me like I'm 3. And then of course he asked me like all the typical questions, like, have you turned the computer on and off? Have you reset the router? Have you done this? Have you done that? I'm thinking, no, I didn't do any of this.
I'm sure he was like, well, there may be a storm in the area that could be interfering with the connection. Have you looked into that?
Well, what he ended up saying was, he goes, after he did his checks or whatever, he goes, well, I've been to, or he said, well, first he asked me, he said, is there, he said, like, go to this certain page and tell me, it'll tell you like if there's an outage in your area. And then, so I went to the certain page or whatever, and then to see if there was an outage. And then I told him, I was like, no, it says that there's no outages in my area. So then he goes, well, let me do a deeper check or something along those lines. Like I forget how he worded it, but he's basically going to do like a more in-depth check. So then he's gone for like 15 minutes, probably discussing with his colleagues about how they're throttling my connection and just refusing to admit it, probably.
Can't believe this guy thinks he's onto us.
Yeah, they're like this guy's got us figured out. What are we supposed to tell him? So then I tell him. So then he comes back and he's like, "Well, I've just been informed that there is an outage in your area that could be affecting your connection." So then I said, "Okay, well, when's this outage going to be fixed?" And he said, "What?" And he said something, whatever it was he said. He said something, blah blah blah. The estimated time is unknown or whatever. So then I said, well, it's really funny that you say that there's an outage in the area that's causing my problem, because this problem has been happening for 2 weeks now. And then all he said was, I'm sorry, sir, I understand. That's all he said. So then I'm saying, so then he asked me if there was something else he could help me with. And then I said, well, I would like the answer to that question. If there's been an outage for 2 weeks, how come you haven't been able to fix an outage that's been out for 2 weeks? Because this has been happening for 2 weeks. And then he just said, is there anything else I can help you with? And he just completely refused to answer anything else.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and then I just told him, I was like, well, and I told him, so then before he logged off or whatever, I was like, well, for one, what you could help me is by fixing this outage that's been apparently happening for 2 weeks. Because if you can't fix something in 2 weeks, then you have a problem. There's not just I know there's not an outage that's been out for 2 weeks that they're just like, oh, we'll get to it eventually, blah, blah, blah. So I don't even know what I'm going to do. I literally don't have any other options. I don't know what I'm going to do.
I mean,
I can't wait.
if you wanted to be crazy, you could start collecting evidence like recording, and then just building a case and try to sue them.
Well, here's another thing about Suddenlink. Suddenlink. Oh, this makes me so mad. Suddenlink literally has all of their customers pinned up against a corner so bad and set up. They have everything set up so that they can screw every customer as hard as possible. No ifs, ands, or buts. Because they already have a monopoly. So you can't go anywhere else. And then in their contract that they have you sign, that is like a 100-page contract that nobody's going to read. In the contract, you have to sign. You're signing that you won't sue them for anything.
Yeah, that's probably a contract you don't want to sign. Like the fact they're allowed to put that in a contract, you can't sue us if we break our contract with you, then that's absurd.
Yeah, because what I was doing was, I think it was the last time they raised the price or something. I was thinking, because like the last time they raised the price, I was thinking, I know that they're doing this to everybody else around here. It's not just me. So I was thinking, what if I just got a lot of people together and we just had a class action lawsuit? Like, hey, you can't have a monopoly and then just like keep raising the price over and over and over and over and over and screwing us. Like you can't do this. So then I started like digging into it, and then that's when I found out that in their contract you can't sue them. And then I also decided before I found out that they have a monopoly. I was gonna just switch to another internet, and then just like stay with them or switch back and forth whenever like I guess the trial period was up, because that's when they keep jacking up the price. So I found out that with Suddenlink, once you use your name to start up an account, then you can never be a new customer again. Mm-hmm. So like since I have Suddenlink now, if I move cross country, drop Suddenlink, I move back here 50 years later, and I want to get Suddenlink internet, I can't get I can't get any of the new customer like promotions or any of that stuff. They'll just look at me as an old customer that's just coming back. So once you sign up, you're done.
Yeah.
Because the last time they raised the price is all on their website, everything was all this price for life, whatever you can get. They were showing the service that I have for like $49.99 price for life or whatever. So I was asking about that, and they told me that I wasn't eligible because I was a current customer. And then I asked them like, well, what if I quit and then come back later? They're like, well, once you've signed up, you're pretty much done for. You can't get this at any time. So then, then I started looking into this is something else they do. Their price for life internet, say it's like $50 a month, right? Mm-hmm. The price of their internet is the price for life. Okay. The price of their servicing fees are subject to change. Mm-hmm. So then I started looking at my bill. My internet is the same, but the servicing fees keep going up. So whenever they sell all these people on this price for life, it's going to be the same thing. They're just going to keep jacking up the price, and they're going to say, well, the internet price is the same, but the servicing fees are what changes. Like they literally just screw you every which way they possibly can.
Yeah. How many people do you think you could get if you could, how many people do you think you could rally together against Suddenlink?
How much time do I have?
Because I'm thinking, here's my thing. There's plenty of other companies out there that I'm sure would be better than Suddenlink, and maybe they just don't haven't moved into your area because they don't know that there's business in your area. They just assume Suddenlink has a chokehold. But what if you approached one of the businesses and give them a list of names along with your own and said that, hey, these guys are treating us absolutely horribly, and we would absolutely be willing to make a deal with your company for higher than average costs, as long as it's lower than the current cost, because we hate this current company so much, and we just want a new company to rival them. They could probably jump at that if you have enough people.
That could be possible. Although I don't know if the thing is that. I mean, in theory, that would work. But I don't know why these other companies haven't done that themselves.
Well, I mean, they probably just don't have the information. They probably just
I
assume,
mean,
they're just
they can't
happy
be
with
that
what they
dumb.
have.
They have to know that there's people that are being screwed by Suddenlink.
I mean,
Like
if they knew
I would
that
love for Verizon to come so I can have fiber. Like what you got, like what you have. You have fiber, right?
I think so.
What's
I'll
your
assume.
what's your internet speed?
Let me check. So, I mean, it's pretty good.
I bet it's probably gonna make me puke whenever you tell me.
All right. Looking about 14.4 megabytes per second.
14 point what?
14.4 megabytes per second.
Download or upload?
That's download, and then there's 20.1 megabytes per second upload.
That's got to be faster than that if it's fiber.
Well, that's what it says. So maybe it's not fiber.
I think that it is. Maybe you're just on a weird website.
Oh, it's the first one that Google showed me.
Which one did Google show you? Was it by Ookla?
It's not even a website. It's just it says run speed test. And it's like
that one you can't trust that one. That one's trash. You got to go to the one by Ookla, speedtest.net.
All right. Oh yeah, it is Verizon.
What's it say? Big numbers.
It's loading right now, but it's staying around 14. All right, 12.24 megabytes per second download, and looking like a 22-ish upload. Yeah, no, 20.65. So, yeah.
Is it megabytes or gigabytes?
Megabytes.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's really slow for fiber. It's got to be faster than that. Whenever you download games, is it really fast?
It's relatively fast. It's not like insane, but it's relatively fast. It might be because someone else might be on the internet.
That could be true.
Someone might be on Netflix.
Sucking up all the bandwidth.
Mm-hmm. Your vanity sucking up my bandwidth.
All right, so that's enough of the Suddenlink rant. They're trash and they're garbage, and I can't stand them. Mm-hmm. So let's get to the end of the world. So how do you do what?
I was looking at something in one of my Discords. Are we recording this right now?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
We've been recording the entire time. What do you mean?
I thought you were like, let me tell you a story before we start.
No, we're 30 minutes in.
Oh, okay.
So let's
continue.
Let's get into the end of the world. What do you think? How's it going to end?
All right. So
what do you think is the most probable way that the world's going to end?
All right. This is how I think it's going to work. All right. I think it's going to boil down to China v. America if it happens. If China v. America, because that's the two most prominent. That's the most likely event. America would obviously win that war especially with all our allies.
Hold on. You're going way too fast. Back up. So you're saying are you saying that there's going to be a war between us and China, and that's how it's going to end?
I don't think there will be. I really don't think there will be, because I think the Chinese are smart enough to know that they won't win that war. We have naval supremacy. We have
but how's a war between us and China? How would that end the world?
Well, I think that if it did happen, and the Chinese government got desperate enough, I think somebody somewhere would make a mistake and launch a nuclear strike. And at that point, it's all over because America is going to retaliate, inevitably, nuclear, and it's just going to spiral out of control to like you nuke me, so I'm going to nuke you 10 times harder, and just back and forth until we completely wipe each other out with nuclear winter.
So you think we're just gonna they're all just gonna just drop nukes on each other until everybody's just dead?
All it takes is enough nukes in one area to kick up enough dust to cause a nuclear winter, and we're gone. We're dead.
How
There's
many?
nothing we can do.
Okay, how many nuke? Okay, if we say who would nuke who first?
I would say the Chinese would nuke us first. I think because we would be winning the war, and out of desperation, I guess for some reason they think it's a good idea to nuke us. I don't think they would.
Do they even have nukes?
Yes, of course they do.
China does?
They're allies. They're allies with the Russians. The Russians have a massive nuclear stockpile.
A nuclear stockpile?
Yes.
What do you mean a nuclear stockpile?
They've been building nukes since the 50s. Before that, I think actually, even like in the early 40s.
What do you mean by building them? Like, what does that mean?
They've been assembling nukes.
Like they just have like a bomb,
Yes.
and they're just like making them and then stacking them up somewhere.
Hundreds of thousands of nuclear missiles.
Really?
Did you not learn this in school? And America's got the same thing. We have hundreds of thousands of nukes that we're sitting on.
No, I didn't learn this in school. They didn't teach me anything in school.
Wow.
I learned how to square dance and find the hypotenuse of a triangle. They didn't teach me this stuff. Huh?
What do you think the Cuban Missile Crisis was then? Like that was just
the what?
The Cuban Missile Crisis. What do you think that was?
Never heard of it.
You've never heard of the Cuban Missile Crisis?
No.
You didn't learn anything.
They didn't teach us anything. They didn't teach us how to do taxes. They didn't teach us how to write checks. They didn't teach us about these missiles. Nothing.
History lesson.
Okay.
The Soviets in the 60s, I forget which exact year it was. The Soviets in the 60s moved into Cuba. You know that Cuba was taken by a communist regime under Fidel Castro.
That was from
the
Russia?
Soviets. Yes, Russia, the Soviet Union, the old Soviet Union, the ones who beat the Nazis. They invaded Berlin during the World War II. You don't know anything. So they
took Cuba?
Yeah, well, they didn't take it. Here's what happened. So they were igniting communist revolutions across the world.
I thought Cuba was communist just because they were communist. Like I thought that's
they were
just
communist
like how
because they
Cuba
were influenced by the Soviet Union. Communism originated from the Soviet Union, and it was a battle between ideologies between us and the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union believed in communism. We believed in democracy, obviously, and we were trying to influence the world around us. So we invested heavily in Europe and gave the Europeans a bunch of money and rebuilt them up, the Western side at least, to get them on our side, believing in democracy. And we started having this competition with Russia all over the world, in China, in Africa, in South America, Central America, the Caribbean Isles, all over the globe. We were constantly just fighting each other. Like there was, remember Vietnam? That was between.
I know of Vietnam, but I don't remember it.
Well, Vietnam was when there was a communist.
I don't even know what happened during Vietnam. I just know that it was a war.
So in Vietnam, the reason why it happened was there was I think it was the communists that took over the place first. The communists were there was a communist uprising that took over the country of Vietnam, and it was either communist or democratic uprising that took it over. Anyway, there were communists in Vietnam, influenced and being sponsored, giving military equipment by the Soviets. The Americans, we responded to that by sending guns and equipment and attachés, which is basically like a military advisor sent to train.
What'd you say? Attaché?
Attaché. It's a French term. Attaché. It's a military advisor you send to the foreign country to just kind of observe and help their troops learn how to fight better with your tactics.
That's a person, an attaché.
Attaché. If you're sent to a foreign country, you are a high-ranking military person who's experienced in training recruits, and you're sent to train foreign people how to fight in wars using your tactics.
That's what I would be just for the name, an attaché.
Yeah, it's a pretty fancy name. But we sent thousands actually, of military advisors to these democratic rebels in Vietnam because we wanted them to win, because we wanted them to be democratic like us. And we were on the losing side of that because we were fighting an offensive war in a jungle environment where the enemy had, the massive series of tunnels everywhere. They had this dense jungle to hide in and ambush the troops. So eventually they start losing the Vietnamese that were on our side. So we started sending troops, like actual American troops, to Vietnam to fight, continue fighting. And I don't think the Russians sent any. They probably sent some troops, but mainly it was just the Russian-sponsored Vietnamese versus us, and we were getting destroyed. A lot of people think we did put up a good fight. We didn't. We got obliterated in Vietnam. People dying in droves, getting killed by all the Vietnamese traps, all the Vietnamese ambushes. Dysentery, tuberculosis was rampant. Just horrible diseases all across the place. Malaria, I believe, was there.
How do you get dysentery? Wasn't that from like dirty water?
Filth. Yeah, dirty water. But like just horrible conditions, traps everywhere being laid by the Vietnamese.
Like booby traps?
Yes, booby trap. Like they have like one of the things they do is they take abandoned mine shafts and they cover it with leaves and nets. So when you step on it, you just fall 40 feet down and break your legs on a rock and get stuck down there, just starve to death. So, horrible traps like that. Like
Can you imagine just walking through a jungle and you just right down to the bottom and you're just like in a mine shaft 40 feet down, legs are broken. You're just like, can someone throw me a sandwich? Or something.
All the time. Yeah, and
what do you do? Just lay there and die?
Well, I imagine if you have a squad with you, you'd be rescued. But if you're just like a scout on a recon mission and you just go down, you're just dead.
So if you're like the fat guy at the back of the line, and you just like fall through, everybody just keeps going. You're just...
Yes, or they show up and eventually they show up and check their traps, and if you're there, they finish you off.
How much you want? That would be awful. They just start shooting down into the hole.
Or they probably actually just bring you up out and interrogate you.
How many times? How much do you want to bet that people probably fell into the holes and then people were like, we don't need them anyway, and they just like kept going.
There goes John. Really like him.
I guarantee that happened. They're probably just like, well, he's kind of slow anyway, or he fell down.
He was Timmy.
He was the fattest one we had. He's a liability.
Yeah. He was from Texas. We don't like him. Yeah. But so people were just dying in droves from traps, and we kept on sending more and more people. I forget who was president at that time. Was it Nixon?
Carter, Ford, Washington.
Carter, definitely watched it. Yeah.
I don't know.
Especially Carter. And
it was
Ford.
Probably Abraham Lincoln.
That's the one. Actually, yeah. Thank you for reminding me.
Yep.
So Abraham Lincoln sent the American militia. Unfortunately, the Vietnamese had AK-47s, so their muskets weren't very good. So after a while, after like 600,000 troops died, and the Vietnamese went on a massive counterattack from the northern side, which was communist controlled to the southern side, and pretty sure they retook the capital of Vietnam. And this whole thing has been filmed. This is the first war that was ever filmed. So the American public was also against it because they were seeing the troops everybody used to have this idea in their head that war was glorious and awesome. Like they had propaganda posters of warriors standing on top of a field of dead enemies, like Rambo just firing from the hip.
And it was supposed to be like some like hoorah thing.
Oh yeah. War used to be seen as one of those glorious and like honorable things you'd possibly do. Up until around the American Revolutionary War.
I killed people that I don't even know. Woo!
Yeah, like they used to take pride in it. It used to be like countries would look for excuses to go to war just for the fun of it.
Have you ever thought about this? I've thought about this a lot about war. Like when two countries go to war, it's always weird to me that like if we go to war with somebody, all the people that are actually like killing each other. They don't have anything against each other. They're just doing it because they're told. But it's just like two leaders that have problems with each other. So then they send all of their people to come fight for them. Mm-hmm. So it's like, why don't these people just fight each other if that's what if they're the ones that have the problems?
A lot of what drives them is the soldiers are fighting for their country because either they want their country to expand, become better, and their children to have lives on the land they're fighting for. Just like making their people better, their culture better. That's throughout a lot of history. Was they believe that they as a people were superior, and that if they died in the cause to make their country better than everyone else's, then so be it.
Then everybody else can sit back and go, "Hoorah! They did it!" Mm-hmm. Even though you're like sliced up in a mine shaft.
Yeah. But of course, with the war being televised and people seeing what war is like, there's no honor.
What do you mean
And
televised? Like it was
television,
like was it
they had camera crews.
recorded and then put on TV, or was it like
Yeah,
a live stream?
I believe there was some live shots, like, and like there was camera crews that be in like military uniforms that would not have guns. I forget, they might have had guns, but mainly they just
What all
followed
did
around
they
soldiers
show?
and like got by. Yeah.
What all did they show? Did they have like a
Um,
live camera on a chopper gunner and they're just like, and then
yeah,
everybody's like, oh, America!
they had a lot of stuff like that. They had a lot of it was mainly just like men, troops in the front lines, like skirmishing. But they got I'm pretty sure they got some pretty gruesome shots.
How did the camera
Like
people not get killed?
they did they
They
got
did.
mistaken and picked off by snipers and stray bullets.
So there's
But usually,
there's probably a camera shot somewhere of like somebody filming and you just see them like, oh, and then like the camera
no,
just
I,
like goes
I
down.
guarantee it. I guarantee it. They probably wouldn't like if it was pre-recorded. They probably wouldn't show it. But if it was live, then yeah, that probably happened once or twice. But usually they don't get targeted first. Usually people with cameras are targeted last. Like you're not going to shoot somebody with a camera. You're going to shoot somebody with a gun.
Well, yeah.
And plus, like as like
They're
this
holding
why
the camera
journalists,
and they're like, oh, he's got a rocket launcher.
yeah,
Take him out.
that's why journalists get a lot of like immunity when they go to war zones because if you're fighting for a cause you believe in and you see cameras, you're like, this might be my chance to show off that I'm not of evil, that I'm not a bad guy. I'm just fighting for what I believe in.
A lot of journalists get taken hostage though.
That is true. Yeah, a lot in the Middle East mainly. Like they get just taken hostage a lot.
There was I don't remember this guy's name. I'll send you the link after this. But there's a one of Joe Rogan's podcasts where he had a guy on that he was a journalist that went to, I don't remember where he went to, but he was a journalist and he went somewhere and he got abducted by Somali pirates. And then the Somali pirates held him hostage for 2.5 years because they wanted a $20 million ransom for him.
Yeah.
And then like they basically held him until he was like just about to die pretty much. They held him and then they settled for like $1.5 million or something.
Mm-hmm. They do a lot. Pirates off the coast of Africa will pretty much like they know for a fact that they can score and get an American because they know that Americans are like the most valuable hostages you could possibly take. And if they see they usually attack just like yachts and small just small travel boats. They never attack cruise liners or.
That's what happened. I think the guy said that he was a journalist I think he was on a fishing boat or something about a fishing boat, and then their boat got taken over by these pirates, and then he was one of the ones that they abducted or whatever.
Yeah, that's why if you're going around the coast of Africa, you go on a cruise ship because they're not going to attack a cruise ship. They can't get on a cruise ship.
That's what you think.
Yacht. Well, I mean, they could try. I'm sure the cruise ship would have, not mention like the 500 passengers. You'd have a pretty good security crew as well.
Well, how big is the pirate ship? They're as big as a cruise ship, right?
They're pretty small. No. Oh my God! Could you imagine a battleship, pirate ship?
That's
oh my God!
That's what I was thinking that a pirate ship would be.
God, no! It's terrifying.
How big is a pirate ship?
How would pirates even get a battleship? No.
What do you mean? They have all the people down below rowing.
yeah, rowboats, huh?
Isn't that how pirate ships moved?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, they sailed too, but didn't they have rowers?
Sure, huh?
That's a legitimate question.
You're thinking of Vikings. I mean, so some ships in
that's what I'm thinking of, Vikings.
The 17th century did have oars built into them, but it was very rare.
I'm thinking Vikings. Did Vikings just have rowers?
Yes. Yeah, they had rows and sails, so they could go against the wind.
Those poor guys down there rowing.
Mm-hmm. A lot of times they'd have slaves row the ships for them.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think they have? So like
capture.
That was their whole life, just rowing a boat?
Yeah, well, they'd probably get picked up, last for like a week or two after just constantly rowing and never being fed, and they just die.
And they probably just throw them off into the ocean.
Oh yeah, probably just,
as bad as that sounds. They're just like, hey, he quit rowing, and then they just throw him off the back. But then where do they get more? I mean, you got to keep them alive.
You know what? They're Vikings. They just wander. They go from coast to coast and just raid. They just take people.
So what do
They
they
show
have?
up,
Do they
kill.
have like everybody rowing, and then they have like a line of like backups, and they're just like, "Hey, when one of these guys drops dead, you move him out of the way, and you take his spot."
Well, I mean, they don't really care about them dropping dead because as long as you have, plenty of people rowing at once, it doesn't matter if you lose an oar or two. You just pull the oar in and keep on going, so it doesn't get in the way.
How messed up. That's just.
It was.
Oh, that's so twisted.
It's also why the Vikings have like people all over the world have ancestry. Well, not all over the world, but like all over Europe has ancestry to the Vikings because they went everywhere and they, like everywhere they went, obviously they mingled with other peoples. So like almost every person in Europe has a bit of Norse in their history.
And they
Because
probably
Norse
didn't have a
is
they probably didn't have a medic on board, did they?
No, they don't know what medicine is.
You know who the medic was?
What?
The medic was the guy that threw the bodies off the back of the boat. The person's rowing, and they just die. And they're like, medic! And then he's like, okay,
All the time.
all right, you
Is
get in his spot. Or the medic, like the guy's like hunched over, and then the medic comes up behind him and he's like, hey, you all right? You all right? And the guy's like, no, he's dead. And they throw him off. That's the medic.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what did all this have to do with the end of the world?
Oh yeah. Well, we were talking about missiles. Oh, yeah, I was talking about China, America, and then talk about how there'd be a nuclear standoff, and somebody would nuke someone else, and we just go back and forth until we killed each other. Like we caused a nuclear winter and wiped each other out. And I was talking about how that happened before in the Cuban Missile Crisis, which didn't know what that was, and you didn't know what the Cold War was, and so I had to brief you on that.
So in the Cuban Missile Crisis, there was a nuclear winter.
There was no. We've never seen a nuclear winter. That almost happened.
What would cause a nuclear winter? What's the cause?
Enough dust being kicked up from an explosion that it enters the atmosphere and blocks out the sun for years and years and years and years until everything just dies from lack of sunlight.
So it's not so much the bomb; it's the dust.
It's the dust going through the atmosphere and blocking sunlight to just create a new winter, a new ice age that would just kill everything.
But that'd have to be a lot of. I mean, you'd have to drop an insane amount of bombs.
Yeah, in one area, but with the amount of bombs that we had in the Cold War, we absolutely would have done it 100%. Absolutely.
Like one nuclear bomb isn't that effective.
No, well, I mean it's effective, but it's not going to make.
It's
not make that dust.
It's not.
You'd have to drop.
It's not as effective as like what people think.
Yeah, you'd have to drop a couple hundred bombs in one area, around the same area to cause enough dust.
I bet if you asked like the average person, they would probably think that like one nuclear bomb would take out like the entire U.S.
God, no.
Which is not the case.
A hydrogen bomb would take out pretty much all of New York City, I think. But
just New York City.
Yeah. I mean, maybe not that. Hydrogen bombs are much more powerful than atom bombs, which we had in World War II. They're huge, do a lot of damage, but I mean, it obviously kill everyone in the area of New York City, but I don't know if it'd level it.
So what about this? This would probably be even worse. What if, let's say we dropped some nuclear bombs on China or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Or what if we did, let's do this. If we did this to China, if we dropped nuclear bombs, but we only dropped them on like their like oil refineries and places like that, then probably just a handful would probably be enough to disable the entire country.
They don't have that many oil refineries. China doesn't have a lot of oil in it. They get most of the oil from the Middle East, us, Caucasus, and Africa.
Really?
The U.S. produces more oil than any other place in the world. We have most of the oil reserves. Like, people don't know this. We have the most oil out of any country in the world in one country.
So China doesn't have that much oil?
Oh no, not much at all.
Do they not have much oil, or is there just nobody that's got the oil?
Well, no, they get oil from imports. They rely heavily on imports for oil.
No, but like, how is there not oil in the ground?
because there's just not oil pods in that area.
Was there no
It's not like
dinosaurs there?
oil is, well, that's not the only thing that where oil comes from. Natural oil is where a lot of it, like just oil is just in the earth, like really deep in the earth. That's where a lot of the earth's oil is. It's just natural deposits.
Speaking of oil, that's another way that I've heard that the world could end is whenever we hit peak oil,
Peak oil.
like
What do you
where
mean?
once we reach the peak of like where like the peak of oil production, where like we've reached the peak where it can't be produced any more than what it's being produced, and then we start from that point on we start consuming way more than we're producing, and I don't know how it's all supposed to
Well,
go down, but then apparently it all just like
that's
crumbles down from there.
that's not gonna happen for a long time. Especially not with how fast we're inventing new drilling methods.
Because I read something that was a way that everything that the whole world could end or whatever. But and then I also heard some or read something that uh, that the Earth naturally produces oil, like
I'm not sure
that it
about that.
that continually produces oil, not that like
I mean, obviously it does. Creatures have oil in them, and they, it gets to recycle. Because remember, oil doesn't go anywhere. Like to technically speak, nothing on Earth, none of the matter on Earth goes anywhere. We're not losing anything. Everything that's as long as everything stays in the atmosphere, it is on the planet forever. Period. It will never go away. It'll change state, change form, change location, but it will never disappear. You can't destroy or create new matter. So all the matter we have on Earth in our atmosphere is here to stay. It's never going to leave. Never gonna disappear. It's always going to be here. It's just going to change state constantly.
what if we start sending it
So
up to space?
well, then it's gone forever. As long as it doesn't go back.
See, there we go. Then it's gone.
Like everything we've sent to space so far, it's gone forever. We're not going to get it back
Where do
unless
you,
we like scavenge it.
where do you think
Which,
it goes once it's up there?
we will probably end up. Well, usually it just stays in orbit, which you don't believe, obviously, but it would just hover around orbit,
If
or
orbit,
if it's like
if orbit was real, that's where it would be.
yeah, if it's like a deep satellite, like the what was it, the Viking, I think the Viking satellite, I forget what it's called. The satellite that like went really, I think it like went further than any other satellite. Pretty sure it left our atmosphere or our solar system, but that thing is gone. Like it's just lost.
We lost the satellite.
Yeah, well, I don't know if we remember. Like, I forget if we lost its position or if we just don't have any way of contacting it anymore.
How often do satellites disappear?
I have no idea, honestly.
Because
I mean, like, it's kind of hard to lose them because they're designed to be easy to track.
well, I think it would be like because like how could a satellite just stay in orbit? Like how does it just like stay spinning around
Oh,
orbit and not just like how do they never just drift off?
because the gravity once you get to a certain like height and with a certain trajectory, the gravity itself actually keeps you in orbit. Like if you keep on like once you get to a certain speed at a certain angle, your Earth's gravity is always pulling everything towards the Earth, and so like if you have the Earth and you have something around it, eventually
If
once you reach a
gravity was
certain
real.
point, the gravity well if it was real, then gravity would just kind of pull you in a circle around the Earth in perpetually. Like once you get into orbit, you're just in orbit perpetually. So you just the gravity itself is actually pulling you
But there's
inward.
never any mistakes. There's never any hiccups. It's just
Obviously
like
there are mistakes, but like as long as you get to the because your calculation is fairly simple. Like as long as you get to get into that stable orbit, you're good forever, essentially.
I'd have to get in there to see it.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be able to believe it unless I get inside of it and it's as stable as they say.
The orbit stable, as you say.
Yeah, I'd have to be in orbit myself.
Mm-hmm.
So
I
what,
mean, maybe you might live to see that.
probably not. So what about that big volcano? What's
Oh, that's been debunked. The Yellowstone National Park super volcano.
yeah, Yellowstone. What about that
I
one?
had I actually had
What do
the
you mean it's
same
been
word.
debunked?
It's not going to explode. Because here's the I looked up because I thought like
Hold on,
whenever I
hold on,
first heard
hold on,
about it, I was
hold on,
like,
hold
oh
on,
my
hold on.
god.
Hold that thought. I gotta pee. And once I get
Okay.
back, then you can hit me with all this information.
All right. This man knows nothing. I swear to God. Like, you guys don't understand how dumb he is. Like, I'm surprised he can even put his own clothes on by himself. He's an idiot. He doesn't know anything. He didn't learn anything at school. It's incredible. Every time I speak to him, I'm like discovering more and more about what he doesn't know. And Tyler, I know you're seeing this. It's true. Like, you just don't know anything. You don't know anything about anything. Like, go back to school, honestly. Go back to school and get re-educated. All right, please, because it's kind of ridiculous that you just don't know anything of our like history, anything of science that you didn't make your own discovery of, because like you don't believe it unless you make the discovery yourself. Like, just go back to school, honestly. Welcome back.
Were you talking while I was gone?
Yeah,
What were you What were you saying?
you'll see when you edit it, or
because
not when you go back to it.
because I could hear something, but I couldn't make out what it was.
I was just explaining to the audience how I think you're a great person, and I think you're very insightful.
Oh yeah, I guarantee that's exactly what it was.
Hmm.
Were you talking about my groundbreaking theories?
Yeah, actually, I was.
All right, continue wherever you were when you left off.
Oh yeah, yeah, Yellowstone National Park. So I actually
Yeah.
heard about that myself and started freaking out. Like, what if that actually happens? Like, what if Yellowstone National Park just blows up and takes the entirety of the U.S. with it? Like, oh my god! So I started looking into
It'd
it.
be more
Like
than the U.S. though, wouldn't it?
no, and I'm about to say why. So the Yellowstone National Park is a super volcano. It is that is that is true,
Right.
but um, it has exploded in the past. And when I say the past, I mean like millions of years ago. I think the last explosion was actually like 600,000 years ago. And each explosion, like some of them were obviously bigger than others, they were pretty sizable explosions. But if like the average size of the explosion, like if a volcano for some reason explode again, it would only destroy the immediate area of Yellowstone National Park itself. And the most damage it would probably cause is just property damage from dust, essentially, just like lots and lots and lots of dust being kicked up in the atmosphere, like a nuclear winter, but on a much smaller scale, less destructive. The main problem would just be dust. Like, people would have to evacuate the area because of dust for a while until it cleared, and that'd be it. Like that it wouldn't even do enough damage to like destroy any cities or anything like that.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Because
If it did explode,
I was watching a
there's
thing.
signs of exploding.
I was watching a thing just yesterday that they said something about it explodes like roughly every 600,000 years, and they said that it's been about 600,000 years since the last time it exploded.
Yeah, well, like people were doing studies of it to see if it was,
So
because
what if
like
it
you can tell.
explode? What if it explodes like tomorrow?
Well, then the people around Yellowstone National Park will have to evacuate, and there might be like a minor tremor in that state across the entire state, but
But
we
when
won't
I thought the
feel
whole
it.
U.S. would be covered in ash.
No, no. Well, some parts of it would be experience a little bit of ash. Like, I'm pretty sure like it's like 3 state radius would get a little bit of ash like around the place. So I mean, you'd see the ash, it'd be there, but you wouldn't die. You wouldn't get blown up. You wouldn't suddenly just have the entire building get just sent to into the sky with you being disintegrated. It's not that powerful.
Well, that wouldn't. I mean, like being disintegrated wouldn't be the problem. Because if it would cause just like the bombs, it would cause a winter.
It wouldn't be able to throw up enough dust to cause a nuclear winter.
You don't think so?
A nuclear winter
A
needs
super
a nuclear
volcano?
winter needs a nuclear winter needs a lot of dust, like a ton of dust, an entire mountain
It's a
being
super
kicked up, like
volcano.
probably an entire mountain range being sent up into the atmosphere to cause a
It's
nuclear
a
winter.
super volcano.
It's not as powerful as people think it is, and it shows no sign of erupting. Because when the volcano builds pressure, it like the ground around the area goes up, like it increases in size. It's in recent years it's been going down. If anything, like it's been making very very small movements downward. It's losing pressure because it's venting.
Venting? What do you mean venting? Venting how?
There's geysers all over the park. It's slowly venting a lot of the pressure out.
What? Okay. What about this? Let's say they confirmed, like this thing is going to blow any day now. It's gonna blow, and it's gonna be big, biggest one ever. How would you stop that?
How would you stop it?
Yeah. Like I was thinking about this the other day. Like if they found one that was gonna, like, it wouldn't even have to be Yellowstone. Let's just say they found a volcano that was about to explode. This might sound stupid, but I want to know if the volcano is there, it's about to blow. Can you build like a cap to put on it? And just like something, I don't know, like something out of like steel
Like a
or like
several
something.
mile wide cap, a dome.
Yeah, like a dome. You could just like put it on top of it, and then it would just like hold all the stuff in there.
Could we build a dome of that size? Probably not.
Why not?
Would it work? Most definitely not, because it depends on what material you use. Maybe you could, I don't know, but it seems like any material is going to just buckle and warp under its own weight when it's stretched out over that massive of an area.
Well, I mean, you build it like strong. You're not like I'm not saying you take one piece of sheet metal and then you just weld it end on end for miles and miles and miles, so it's just like a big like floppy dome.
If you have support beams all over, like support beam every few hundred feet, then maybe not even that. Maybe like a support beam every mile. Then maybe. I mean,
think of like possible. Okay, think about this. Think of like just a big like airplane hangar, but just like way bigger with a way thicker roof.
I mean, so what is the purpose of this dome? What's it supposed to be doing?
The purpose is so that whenever the volcano erupts, all the stuff starts coming out of the top, and the roof keeps it down.
What do you mean, like lava coming out of the top? Like, what do you mean?
What lava, ash, whatever's shooting out of the top? We can keep it all contained into that area.
This would not be a volcano with lava flowing out of the top. It'd be like Mount St. Helens. You know Mount St. Helens?
I mean, I've heard of it, but I don't know anything about it.
It wouldn't be in a volcanic eruption like lava shooting out of the top of a mountain. It'd be just the ground just expands and expands and expands and expands. Just the entire ground just gets ripped apart, and there's just a massive explosion. That's what that would be. There wouldn't be any lava. It'd just be a massive.
So we just put the cap on it.
I would just stop the ground being disrupted from just breaking the cap.
Well, it's gonna explode up into the atmosphere, right?
Well, the entire ground is going with it. The ground that you build the support beams on is going with it.
Right, but it'll stop it. It'll give it a little bit of a something. Like think of it like this. Actually, sure. I know you're giving me this stupid look. You're looking at me like I'm an idiot. Okay, so
I would never.
Let's go over some physics. So let's say if you have let's say the volcano is like an airbag, right? If the airbag is sitting on the ground, it can explode just freely, right? But if you have something heavy on top of it and it explodes, it's not going to be able to explode as high. See what I'm saying?
See, that's like child logic.
What are you talking about?
That's like a solution that a child would give to a problem.
You don't think that would work?
That's the equivalent of saying, all right, how do we stop global warming? I got it. Everybody leave your windows open and the fridge door open. And we'll do that for about a year. And it slowly will just cool the earth down. It's not how anything works.
You don't know that won't cool the earth down.
I mean, I suppose we wouldn't know for sure. Oh, wait.
Has it ever been tried?
No, because
exactly. So you don't know.
You don't need some. Do I need to test whether or not I'd be able to break through that wall behind me with just a sheer weight of my body? No, I know I could do that because there's brick on the other side.
Have you tried it?
No, because I don't need to. I can
exactly. If you never tried it, then you don't know. Until you try, you don't know.
Yeah.
I could break through this wall.
Bet. Do it. Right now, experiment.
Well, this wall goes to the outside. I don't want to let all the bugs in.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah, that's why.
That is why.
Hmm.
It's just drywall and then a piece of plywood on the other side. That's it.
All right. Well, see, you don't know that you could break through it, so try it. I mean, otherwise you'll never
Well,
know.
I don't have a reason to try it right now.
The interest of science, scientific curiosity.
And am I just supposed to record it with this crappy webcam?
Hmm.
Well, okay, I make a deal. I'll break through this wall if you break through that wall.
See, I can't break through that wall because there's
You
brick
don't know.
behind
You
it.
never tried.
I know because
All right,
there's
we'll go
I'm
on.
not
All right, all right, all right.
through.
All right, we'll go on 3. You ready? I'm ready. Are you ready?
Uh-huh.
You gotta go back to your wall.
I'm doing it. Oh, I think it's buffering because I'm over here at the wall. Just go ahead and do it. I'm right there with you.
It's buffering. So you can't
Yeah,
pull
it's
it.
buffering.
So you can't pull
Yeah.
it off because
So you know,
your
you
internet's
know,
too good. If you had
you know,
if you had my
because I'm
kind of
buffering.
if you had my kind of internet, then you could pull it off.
Yeah.
All right. So I don't know where we were. Which I guess you can't put caps on volcanoes or something, according to you.
Hmm.
Let's see.
According to logic.
No, according to you, it hasn't been done.
No.
Let's move on here to what else? Oh, this was one that could legitimately happen, and I'm actually kind of scared for.
What?
Robots, AI, and robots taking over.
That one I can get behind. Absolutely.
And
Because Google has already begun making a potentially sentient AI.
well, before we talk about Google, have you heard or have you seen anything about? I think it was Microsoft maybe that made it. They made a Twitter bot named Tay.
I heard about. I know that there's been bots for years now, but not I haven't heard of Tay.
They made it. I don't remember. It was like maybe 2010, 2012, maybe they made it. But they made a Twitter bot named Tay, and I forget what they were trying to like do, but the bot was supposed to interact with people on Twitter as well as like learn from everybody on Twitter.
Like other bots do. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
been plenty of bots like.
So it was supposed to like, I guess, give like as human of a reaction as possible by learning or whatever. So they had the bot up for, I think it was only up for like a couple hours maybe, and within like 2 hours of it being up, it had already decided that it hated all humans. And then like,
You know what?
and then it started tweeting like. I think it started
I think I've
tweeting
heard
like
this.
really like bad like racist stuff and like all these
Yeah,
all
yeah,
these people,
yeah,
and they had to
yeah,
like take
yeah.
it down real fast.
I've heard of this. You know what
Look.
happened?
What?
As they figured out what happened, as the bot learns from people, it learns to say what people say. It's like, just it learns to act from people, and so people, mainly 4chan, got involved. And they're like, I have the perfect idea. I'm going to turn this bot into a Nazi or die trying. So they started speaking to the bot and just saying things that a Nazi would say, and just get it to repeat. It's like repeat after me, bot. Nazi saying, like
So
some
4chan got
really
involved in
bad
this.
stuff. 4chan got involved, and they eventually turned the bot into a racist, human-hating thing, essentially. And they got it to like make responses to questions that didn't make sense just for the fun of it. They were just essentially just having fun with the bot.
That makes perfect sense for 4chan.
Yeah, I think it was I think it was B that did it. B, yeah,
Who?
B/B on 4chan.
No, I don't know. I don't know who
They're
that
the
is.
main culprits. It's what is it? P? I forget. It's basically like a community on 4chan. That's like they're known for like some of the greatest like heists, I guess you'd call it. Like just they're known for being the ones that are gonna mess with people, like
Heist.
businesses.
So what is this, GTA?
Well, I mean, there was a heist. I forget if it was not a heist, but it was okay. So have you ever heard of Post Malone's? I think "He Will Not Divide Us" campaign he did.
I don't think so.
So
Not
I
from
think it
Post
was.
Malone.
I'm pretty sure it was Post Malone. So it was some celebrity, and I'm pretty sure it was in reaction to Donald Trump. being president, and he started this campaign called "He Will Not Divide Us." So he will not divide us. That was the thing. And his social experiment was to put a video camera on in Times Square, I think it was, that would be rolling nonstop. It would just constantly be rolling and rolling and rolling, and anybody on the street could come up to it and say what they want and do what they want into the camera.
This
And
sounds like some Kanye West experiment.
it wasn't Kanye West, but I think it was Post Malone. I'm not entirely sure. But so he put his camera up, and it's like, obviously it's shielded behind this, like, it's really, I think it was like a concrete wall. There was like bulletproof glass that was behind. And like people would come in every day and make sure nobody, messes with the camera too much. But at 24 hours, every single day for like a few weeks, I think it was. And people started, pranking the camera, just like going up to it and like they'd be holding up signs with obscenities, and they'd be like spray painting the area and doing things like that. Like whenever, because people would come up in front of the camera to show their support for whoever it was, his protest kind of campaign, like "He will not divide us." They'd hold up signs, "He will not divide us." The celebrity himself would come up and like rally his supporters, and eventually, like, I'm pretty sure it was B, unfortunately, started trolling it so hard, and so many people were coming up and like doing stuff that would to mess with the camera, that he took it down one day. And so instead, he made a flag. He made a video camera rolling. It was just a feed of a flag, and in the middle of nowhere, the blue sky behind it, and the flag said, "He will not divide us," white background, black text. And so B made it their mission. Actually, I had a friend. He's right now he's in the military, but he was actually in on this mission. So it was when 4chan saw this stream go up, this constant continuous stream. He was part of the people that sat down and said, "We have to get this flag. This is the ultimate capture the flag mission. So we need to divide ourselves into three teams. We need a field team to go and retrieve the flag once we have the location. We need people that need to use the maps of the stars, to map out the stars. Whenever it goes nighttime, you can see the stars. Map out the stars and see if you can try and triangulate the position based on the consonants. I think that's what the stars are called. And I feel
Constellations.
Constellations. That's what it is.
Consonants are like letters.
Yeah. So they're mapping. They were using.
And you think I'm the dumb one.
And you are. That's one thing you had over me. All right, ball's still in my court.
Mm-hmm.
But so they were in charge of constellations and tried to like figure out the area. There was no like, I don't think you could see any trees. It was literally just a feed of a flagpole with "He will not divide us" and a blue sky behind it. And with using only that and the constellation of the stars, and they used there was another team that was working on time zones, so they would time how fast the like when the day-night cycle was syncing up with the time zones in the U.S. And they managed to narrow down the area the flag was in to a singular time zone. And using the stars, they were able to figure out like where on the East Coast it was. And they had drones that were flying around the entire area, just combing the area. And one of the flomes picked up the flag's position, transmitted that to the field team, and an operative of 4chan went in, climbed the flag. No, he just like went for the flag and pulled it down and put back up on the flagpole in its place. I think it was like his pants or something like that. And they won to capture the flag mission. And in response, Post Malone or whoever it was, after they got his this is he had now had a vendetta against them. Like they were his arch nemesis. Yeah. He says, "All right, new game of capture the flag." He was in on it too. So he goes to London. And he puts the flag on another flagpole on top of a building in London that had security guards in it. So it had like I'm pretty sure they were even armed, like armed security patrolling the building, like legit a spy movie kind of setup with the flag on top. And I don't know what the security guards were told to do, like whether or not they were given, like if they're using non-lethal force or what. But essentially, like that was the new game. And then 4chan gets to work again. They know exactly where it is in London. They know exactly what they need to do. They just need to figure out how they're going to do it. And as they were arguing over like the tactics to use, 3 random people climbed up the side of the building. They climbed up a building next to the building, and I'm pretty sure they just like leapt across onto the building itself and got the flag down. Just or did they get it down, or they were either able to take it down or threatened to take it down. Like they were in position to take it down, but just didn't for some reason. because like they showed up on the video game itself that was rolling the flag. And then finally, whoever it was, I'm pretty sure it was Post Malone. He made a final challenge of the flag in a room with just one window, and it was on a white background. So like that background I had right there, just imagine a white flag with the words "He will not divide us." And that window over there, just imagine that, like, you can't see it on screen, but you can see the light from it coming in. And Fortune was able to use that to do the exact location of the flag again in like 3 days. And eventually they won by shining a light through the window. And then he just, yeah, and Post Malone just like give up. He's just like, you guys win. The contest's over.
Sounds like 4chan has a lot of free time.
Oh yeah, they're known for being the troublemakers of the internet community. The Internet Historian has a lot of videos on it. But Internet Historian, I showed you his channel. He's got some great content covering some of the stuff.
Wasn't his videos boring?
No, they're good. Maybe boring to you.
I think they were boring to me.
Because I showed you, like, there was a McDonald's tried to do.
You showed me the one that was like 4 hours long or something.
What? No, they're like 40 minutes. Like those 40-minute long.
Yeah, it's too long.
Oh my god.
They were boring.
Well,
Have you ever watched Chubby Emu?
No.
Well, unless you want to like never leave your room again, then I probably wouldn't watch Chubby Emu. But he does have some very interesting stuff. It's all like medical stuff, but it's like crazy stuff. Like this person ate a chocolate bar, and then it'll say like this person ate a chocolate bar and this is what happened to their brain, and it'll be like they ate some chocolate that had some like weird like anomaly with it, and then like 6 months later they had like a brain tumor and their brain like just rotted, or like it's just weird stuff. Like there was a guy that he did like 500 squats or something, and then like his muscles deteriorated into his like blood, and then like clogged his kidneys, and then like he almost died, and then like 10 years later he got like kidney cancer because of having all of his having his muscles dissolved into his blood or whatever.
I don't think your muscles can dissolve into your blood.
No,
I mean, I'm not medical, but
it's called I forget, the short term is called rhabdo, but it's rhabdomyolysis or something. It's where you overtrain your muscles to the point where they start to dissolve, basically. And it's a legitimate thing. Like some UFC fighters have had it, but it clogs your kidneys. And they say like whenever like the few fighters that I've seen that have talked about having it, they said that like they just start whenever like you just like you'll go to pee and it'll be like brown, and that's your like muscle tissue in your blood. But it's a legitimate thing. But he you watch some of his videos and you just like you don't even want to leave the house. Like there's something about like a dog licked a guy, then like he ends up like dead or something. Like it's just stuff that like you don't like you start watching and you're like, I just don't even really want to watch this. Like this is too much.
Those are usually like extremely rare cases of like this person having an incredibly rare bodily reaction to an extremely rare coincidental thing.
Yeah.
Like I remember there was one thing I saw. There's a legitimate disease. There's an actual disease out there. It's incredibly rare. There's like probably like 10 people in the entire world that have this disease. I don't know what causes it, but
you probably have
the disease. Well, you'd know it. You'd know if you had it. So the disease is a problem with your blood, I think, where over time your skin begins to harden into calcium. So your parts of your body will just start to like turn into calcium, like your teeth, like your bones, and I think it's nicknamed like concrete disease because over time your entire body will just start to turn more and more into calcium, until your internal organs just become calcium and stop functioning. You die. Your entire neck will just lock into place. Like it looks like concrete. Like the skin of your surface looks like concrete, and it's hard, like concrete. And like your internal organs will start to like get covered in it until they just stop functioning. You die. It's a death sentence. There's no cure.
Is this something that like they're born with?
It must be good. It's not contagious. You can't get it. I think it's just like genetic.
Like, can you just be like 40 years old one day and then just like start getting it?
I don't know. I don't know if it's like if you just come out of nowhere or what. I don't know what it causes. It's extremely rare. It's like
because that would
one
suck.
of the rarest.
Can you imagine being like 60, like you worked your whole life, you just retired, and then now you're turning into concrete?
Yeah.
Like that would suck.
There's no cure. It's just a death sentence. You're just well, this is the end. But I have no idea what causes it. It's exceedingly rare. Like it's beyond rare. It's one of the rarest diseases in the world. So you don't have to worry about it. But it's there. It's interesting. It's morbid curiosity.
So, so these robots.
Yeah.
They what do you think is the? Oh, before we get into this, have you seen the robots that I think it's Disney is having built to do stunts?
No.
These robots, these are the ones that are probably going to try to take over, because there's videos you have to look them up after this, and anybody that's listening can look these up. But on YouTube, if you type in like Disney robots or whatever, they're like swinging off ropes, they're doing backflips, they're doing all kinds of stuff, and like they look like they are like purpose built to just like take over. Like they're running, jumping, going upstairs, swinging on ropes, jumping on trampolines, taking falls, doing all kinds of stuff.
Huh. I'm trying to look for what you're talking about. Oh yeah.
You see him?
Yeah. I've seen robots do some impressive stuff, but this is really impressive. Yeah. Huh.
Think about what about if one of those started chasing after you?
I mean, it doesn't seem to have much balance, but
well, it's not. It's not fully developed yet.
Yeah.
Just wait till it has good balance and has good hand-eye coordination.
Mm-hmm.
We are done for.
I'm pretty sure a robot would lose a fist fight with a human being.
No, what?
Just because of how they are compared to us. Like it'd be so much easier to knock a robot off balance than a human being. So much easier.
You think a robot would lose a fist fight?
Yeah, if it's the same size and made out of normal materials, I think all it would take is a human would just knock them off balance and they win.
Not even close.
What do you think about it? What do you think is like real steel?
What? Okay, so what do you mean by win? Like, is there like a referee and like if you fall over you lose?
No, I mean like just like it's a fight till one of you stops working. Essentially, a fight to the death. All the person would need to do, assuming that the robot's not enormous, not like 8 feet tall and made out of solid titanium. It's just like a normal.
Okay, so let's say like a 6 foot guy versus a 6 foot robot.
Mm-hmm. I think you got the guy.
And the weight's the same.
Yeah, I think you got one. Because it'd be so much easier to knock them off.
There's no way.
Yes.
A robot's made out of metal. I don't know if you know that or not. Metal.
All it takes is to get them off balance.
So you think they can't get up?
I mean, it'd be pretty hard for the robot to get up with you just bearing down on it and just like look for anything you can rip out. So you have no. People are strong. The human body is strong. Okay?
So hold on, whoa! You are so wrong on this. It's like, it's painful how wrong you are. So is the robot designed with just like all of its wires exposed?
No.
So it has protection like a human does.
Once you get it onto the ground, then as long as you're able to, I'm assuming the robot's not going to be like. It's not going to have it's not going to look like a human. It's not going to have human skin. It's just going to be, like a Terminator essentially. It's not going to have the same traction. If you get knocked off, it's going to be stiff in its movement because it doesn't have bones. It doesn't have tissue. It has joints. It has metal joints. It doesn't have the same flexibility we do.
Right.
That's the beauty. about with bones. Bones can flex. Metal,
Bones do not flex.
metal bends. Yes, they do. Yes,
Bones
they do.
they do not flex.
Yes, they do. Yes,
No,
they
they
do.
don't.
Of course they flex.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
In what universe?
Bones flex. Look it up. Look up
What
do
what,
bones
what,
flex.
what are you talking about?
Look
Like
it up.
flex like a millimeter?
I mean, they don't flex a ton, but they do flex.
They don't flex any more than like maybe a couple millimeters, if that.
They flex more than you think. Depends on the bone. Some bones are more flexible than others.
Like which bone is the most flexible?
I don't know.
A bone's hard. Like take your
Yeah,
arm.
I mean,
Take your arm. That's not flexing. You can't
that's-
flex that.
So it makes. But that's one of the longer bones. The longer the bone, the harder it's going to be to flex, obviously.
So you're saying the littlest bones flex the most?
Bones
do not flex.
I'm not a doctor. All
Bones
right?
do not flex.
They do flex.
If your bones flex, you got a problem. You need to see a
They
doctor.
flex.
Bones
They do.
don't flex.
Look it up. I'm gonna
You
look it up.
look it up. How much do they flex?
Much do
A very, very, very insignificant amount.
flex? Is flex bad at flex money? What? Much? I said binds. All right. Bones need to be both strong and flexible in order to do their job. Bones that are strong but not flexible will be brittle and easily broken. However, if bones are flexible but not strong, they would not support the weight of your body or the stress from your muscles pulling on them.
But how much do they flex? Because we're not talking any more than like just a little bit.
What is the most flexible cartilage? Yeah, it doesn't really count. It's the most flexible bone, but
A bone itself does not flex.
they do.
No, they don't.
They do.
If I right now, if I cut your arm off and I pulled the bone out, it is not gonna flex.
It would. It would flex.
No, it wouldn't.
Yes.
Okay, if the bone was straight, right? Look. Okay, if it was straight, you could maybe flex it like this much, just like a tiny bit, and it's gonna break.
That's all it takes. You don't need to flex it like this. Just a little bit. Just ever so slight.
That's what I said. Like a couple millimeters at most.
Yeah, but they do flex.
You're over here making it sound like a bone versus metal is gonna be like a U joint versus a piece of straight steel.
What? I never said that. Being able to flex at all is a huge advantage.
No, that's not gonna make a difference.
Yes, it is.
If you replaced all your bones with steel, but you had the same joints, you would barely know the difference.
Really?
Really?
You actually think you would?
Really?
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 100%.
Really?
100%.
Let me just read this again.
Go, read it again. You would barely even notice.
Bones that are strong but not flexible will be brittle enough and easily broken.
That's talking not flexible at all.
If it's brittle.
Not
like
one
metal.
little piece of flexibility.
How thin is this metal you're thinking of?
What are you talking about?
Metal, steel.
For the robot?
Yeah. If you replace your bones with steel, how thick would that steel be?
Whatever kind of steel they would use for like a knee replacement, except for it would just be like down your whole leg.
They make plates. They don't make entire bone replacements.
Yeah, they do.
They make plates.
They make rods.
Do they make rods?
Yes.
Let me look this up. I've never heard of this.
Yes. Amateurs.
If you lose an entire bone, how would you even be able to get a rod to replace it?
They just put a rod in there that's the same length as the bone. What do you mean?
It's to stabilize fractures. Bone may use finger.
What did you Google?
I searched rods for broken bones.
No.
They align. They stabilize. They don't replace.
No, they can do replacements.
Rods.
For one, you need to get off Bing and get on Google, because I know you're over there on Bing using that discount search engine.
Definitely. I definitely use Bing.
Or maybe you're probably over there on Ask Jeeves. You got to go to where the good information's at. What you got?
It didn't come up with anything. It just said it's talking about for broken bones
Get
and
off
alignment.
Bing and get on Google.
I'm on Google. I'm on Google Chrome.
You're on Google Chrome, but are you on Google.com?
There's a huge difference.
Are you on? I don't know what you're on, but you're not on the right spot.
Oh, shopping. Ooh, how much would I?
What are you shopping for? Metal bones?
Yeah. Let's see here. Oh, it's just regular rods. It's not bone replacements.
What are they selling them like on Amazon?
I was curious for a second.
Like you just get a stock and you're like, here, doc, put these in. These are the ones. So what'd you find?
I'm not seeing anything that says like as a replacement. They help realign. They help realign the bone. They don't replace the bone. And I'm looking at images and I can't see a image.
Let me pull this up
that,
right here.
that
Let me ask.
replaced.
Let me ask. Whatever her face is that I have on my phone.
They put it inside the bone to help it realign, but they don't replace the bone itself.
Can you replace bone with metal?
According to New Scientist, bone implants are typically made of solid metal, usually titanium. Though well tolerated by the body, such implants are significantly stiffer than bone.
There you go. Like I said,
Implants.
You're gonna implant it. How else is it gonna get in there?
It's not gonna replace it. It's just gonna realign.
No, not realign. It's gonna replace it. Ugh, you're stressing me out.
How would you, okay, let's walk through this process. So
hold on, let me get on Google because you're over there on Bing.
I'm not.
You're over there on Ask Jeeves or you're on AOL.com or something.
Yeah.
I don't even know what you're on, but you're not where you need to be.
I'm using Cleverbot for all my information.
Probably.
I'm on Safari.
Probably. You're probably on. I can't even think of what other cheap internet browser there was. What are you typing? You sound like you're typing a paragraph over there.
I'm still looking for trying to find something that says you can replace bones with metal.
Right here on Reddit, there's a doctor that studied
On Reddit.
Yes, there's a doctor that is a bone and tissue engineer. And he says that you can do it right here.
Well, if Reddit says you can do it, then it must be true.
Not Reddit. This guy right here. He said he was a bone and tissue engineer.
I'm sure he says a lot of things. I'm not gonna trust Reddit over anything else. All right.
I'm sending you the link. And then you can be proved wrong.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm shaking in my boots, honestly.
You should be, because you're about to get proved like really wrong.
Yeah.
There you go. Now, why don't you just go read that and have yourself a little field day with that? And then you can just soak up being wrong. Go ahead. Don't be scared.
So if you're talking about replacing an entire bone with anchors metal instead of a metal implant into the bone, I know less, but I'd have to wager that's going to be impossible based on the fact that muscles are anchored to bones via tendons and bones are highly vascularized. Your own source is arguing against your point. What? Did you not read this?
No.
Oh my God! He literally said. He literally
I read the first sentence and it sounded like he
while
was.
implants are possible, while bone implants are possible, replacing an entire bone would be impossible. He literally, the source you gave me to help your argument destroys your argument. Oh my God!
I just read the first sentence because the first sentence
I'm
sounded like
sure-
it was
you
going
know
to
what?
agree.
That makes a lot more sense now. That makes now I understand how you get so deluded.
How I get what?
You get so deluded. You just get entrenched in these ideas because you have an idea that makes sense in your own twisted head. And you go on Reddit and find the first thing that supports your point, the first sentence, and you're like, "Oh, this has got to be real now. This proves it. What I'm saying is true."
What do you like? What else have I done with that? What do you mean?
I'm just assuming that's what you've done for all things that you've told me that are ridiculous.
I do a lot of research. Okay, I fully understand all topics that I talk
On Reddit.
about.
On Reddit, yeah. Far be it from me to
Reddit is full of
argue with someone that's
full of
got used to
tons of
information
information.
from Reddit.
Huh? What, you don't think Reddit is useful?
Oh, I think it's useful, but I wouldn't rely on it. If I was writing a research paper and I used Reddit as my source, I'd get left out of the class
Why?
because it's Reddit.
What Reddit's good.
There's no like proper peer review on Reddit. There's no credential.
What are you calling up? What are you calling upvote? That's a review right there. Someone agrees, boop, upvote. Whichever one has the most upvotes, they reviewed it. It's all good.
You ever notice? You ever thought like why colleges are so expensive?
Because they're a scam.
Well, yes.
That's why that is exactly why they're so expensive.
There's another reason why colleges even exist, like what the use of college is that it's not like you can't find this information for yourself. You can, of course you can. You can get the information from the same places they get information. The difference is that they've already gone and got information and source checked most of it, obviously not all of it, but source checked most of it to make sure it actually makes sense. And they have experts that can review the sources that they find and like, give the okay or not, whether it makes sense or not, or like lines up with what they know. And they file it into a nice, hopefully well-constructed course that makes it like gives the it makes it as easy as possible for you to grasp the subject, for you to understand what you need to understand of the subject. So they're not charging you for information; they're charging you for the seeking, checking and organizing of information. That's what you're paying for.
No, you're paying for the piece of paper.
Well, yeah,
That's
that
all.
piece of paper
At the end, that's all you're paying for.
But that piece of the certificate is what you're paying for. The useful you get out of it.
Even that's that could be a whole nother podcast. Just college in general is a scam every which way you look at it.
I agree.
Even people like me that I went to a tech school, which isn't even a college, which is just which is set up like the way college should be, which is like you're going for this one thing and we're going to train you on this one thing. Even that is a scam for the most part, because it's like they just teach you just enough to be dangerous. And that's pretty much how college is. Whatever you study, whenever you get out of there, you're going to know just enough to be dangerous just to get you started. And then wherever you end up working or whatever, then you will learn whatever you actually need to know.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's get back to this person fighting this robot. This human does not stand a chance.
I think he does.
Your whole argument was that the robot doesn't have a bones that can flex 1 millimeter. So therefore,
that is one advantage that a person would have.
It's not even an advantage. You can't even count that as an advantage.
It is.
If you took away, right now I waved a magic wand and I took away the flexibility of your bones, you would not even know.
Yes, I would.
If
the very next
you're telling, hold on, Mr. Ash Jeeves. So you're telling me right now, if I say I pushed you over, you fell on the ground. If I did that twice, once and you had the flexibility of your bones, and a second time and you didn't have any flexibility, you think you'd be able to tell the difference?
Yes, obviously.
No,
yes.
there's
You know
no
why?
way.
You know why? Your ribs are the most flexible. I'm pretty sure that your ribs are actually the most flexible, like second most flexible bones in your body, cartilage, because your ribs bend a lot. Like push in on your ribs, you can literally feel them flex.
Not really.
Yes, push in. You can make them
I'm
flex.
pushing on my. Can you see that my ribs? This is where they are. I'm pushing on them, and I don't feel nothing.
Push like a man.
Hold on, let me put down my purse, and then I'll push.
This what we're doing right now is very strange. I want you to...
I don't. What makes you think that your bones are flexible? Your cartilage and your connective tissue is flexible, not the bone itself.
It is flexible because that's what I've learned in school. That's what I've seen.
You're going to school on Ask Jeeves. You don't know. You don't.
Yeah.
Okay. So what? Okay. This is just. I'm good. I'm about ready to run through this wall. So, what? Okay. Why else would the human win besides having flexible bones? Apparently.
Well, generally speaking, humans probably going to be more lightweight as well, or like a better ratio, because obviously metal is going to be more expensive than the human body. Like something that's made purely out of metal and metal-like substances, there's going to be they're going to weigh more and be smaller. Like in comparison, like to get the same weight, the robot's not going to have. It's not going to be like it's not going to be as strong as it could be.
What do you say? You say it's not going to be as strong as a human?
If you wanted to have like this similar height and density, because how robots are in comparison to human bodies, it would most likely be heavier than like a well-built human body.
No, it's going to be the guy's going to be 6 foot 200 pounds. The robot's going to be 6 foot 200 pounds.
So the robot would probably have to cut some corners. The robot wouldn't have,
What do you mean?
Like
cut, what do you mean cut some corners?
Like the plating would be very thin. The robot itself would like maybe it'd be like hollowed out in some places, just to meet the weight limit.
No.
Yeah,
they're gonna have the same density, same height, same weight, same density. Their arms are gonna be the same diameter. Everything's gonna be the same.
That's possible. I don't think that's possible.
This is possible.
Okay, so we're just waving a magic wand saying, okay, this is possible.
Well, it is possible. Okay, let's do this. We'll even go a step further. The robot is lighter than the human because they use like titanium or whatever. They use a lightweight, strong metal.
All right, so advanced.
So the robot and the guy are the same height, and they're say their arms are the same length, their legs are the same length, but the robot is lighter weight overall.
All right, now let's get to the robot itself. How advanced is the robot? Does it have? How advanced is the movement? Is it trained? Like, does it have certain?
It's just like one of them robots that you just watched from Disney. It can run, jump, go upstairs, it can do everything humans can do.
It can't. Well, it wouldn't have all the same. It wouldn't know how to fight like a human would be able to fight. It wouldn't know how to use its weight.
I mean, it would be trained. It would have AI and it would learn. It would be trained.
But like,
this isn't. Are you like the human embodiment of Ask Jeeves?
A robot. I don't know that
it's not like you're booting this thing up with Windows Vista and it's just like, go ahead and fight, and then the robot's just standing there just like.
The robot's only going to be as good at fighting as it's programmed to be. The human can improvise. Like the human can recognize.
All right, fine. All right, since you want to go down this road, both the robot and the human are black belts in jiu-jitsu.
Okay. And the robot's lighter. Would it have the same flexibility? Would that even be possible? I mean,
yeah.
I guess they can make some joints. So everything's the exact same. Everything between the two is
all the flexibility is irrelevant with a robot. The joints move to the same degree that the guys do. If not a little bit more, because it's a robot.
So the robot would have every single thing be the exact same as the human being. The only difference is that it would have metal instead of skin and bone. which would hit harder. So yeah, under these extremely specific conditions, the robot will win. Congratulations.
What are you talking about? Under any circumstances? Okay, let's do this. Okay, so there's the robot that it's built like a rock'em sock'em robot. It's just it can walk and it can just punch straight out like this. That's it.
Okay.
Right, and it can turn, and then it can if it falls, it can get itself up. It's still gonna win.
It's how is it gonna win?
How's it not
doesn't have the
gonna
ability to. It can only punch like that, right?
Right.
So what's to stop the person from just grabbing it and just putting it on the ground, so it can only just be on the ground, attempting to get up and not being able to?
So what do you think? A guy is just gonna like tackle a robot and he's just gonna just hold it down on the ground?
It's not you have to tackle it. He just has to grab the hold.
How is the guy gonna disable the robot? It's made of steel and it has no feelings, no nerve endings, nothing.
All he has to do is grab a hold of something and shift his weight against the robot and cause it to fall over.
Okay, so it's fallen over. Now what?
If it's on the ground,
this is a fight. This is a fight to the death. If it's on the ground, now what?
Curb stomp.
You can't. The guy does not stand a chance.
Yeah, he does.
No, not even close.
Unless the robot.
Okay, think of it this way.
Designed.
Is the guy gonna punch steel? No. Is the guy gonna kick steel? No. So that leaves he's gonna have to like hug it and push it to the ground somehow. Okay, so let's say he gets it to the ground.
Here's the problem with this discussion: the robot is incredibly important to describe, because if you're describing a robot that looks like it's out of the Terminator movies, just an exoskeleton with like very very stiff movements and like a much heavier, but about the same size as a really really big like well built human, then the human's gonna win. But if the human's if the robot's like just built like a suit of armor with like no creases, it's solid steel all the way around, thick plates of extremely light and durable steel. It's like it's got all the same joints as human. It's just as well trained and well programmed as at fighting as the human is. It can match the human. It can even like mirror all the stuff the human does. Obviously, it's gonna win. Like you have to specify the robot itself, because like obviously some robots the human's gonna lose and somebody's gonna win.
The robot is gonna win no matter what.
No.
Yes.
No. You think the robot is gonna win no matter what? Really?
Yes, 100%.
So let's say the robot is just brain dead. All right, all it knows how to do is step forward and throw a punch, and then step back and throw a left punch.
Is this the Windows Vista robot?
Knows how to do. What?
Is this the Windows Vista robot?
Yes. So you think that if all it knows how to do is take a step forward and throw a right punch, and take a step back and throw a left punch, and that's literally all it can do, it's still going to win?
Yes.
You're delusional.
You're delusional because for the simple fact that there's nothing else that the human can do.
You don't think a human would be able to just do some damage by throwing it around, like putting his entire weight on certain joints of the robot, just putting his feet against the robot's shoulders and pulling underneath its head plates or whatever? Like you don't think there'd be the human would find a way to do some damage over time?
No.
I think you're just arguing because you don't want to be wrong, even though you're just not being sense.
You don't understand. How is a human going to damage steel? That's the whole point here. Even if
steel's not indestructible.
Okay, even if let's say the robot is dead. It's just powered on, but it doesn't do anything. Mm-hmm. You're talking at least probably 20 minutes for a human to be able to disable that.
No. It depends on the suit of armor. Like if we're talking about, it's got
it doesn't even matter. You got your hands. What are you gonna do? Claw through steel?
You're gonna be able to pull and throw
what?
And kick and twist.
Twist what?
The robot.
It's
the robot's
steel.
limbs. Figure out what you can. You're gonna be able to find some.
It's steel.
You're gonna be able to find some. You're gonna be able to find a weakness.
You're just like
unless it's designed to be perfect.
Now you're just like making stuff up.
No, unless it's like a suit,
anyway,
Iron Man suit,
listen.
There's no weaknesses on it whatsoever.
This is my point.
It's just solid.
If you would just listen, this is my
metal.
point. This is what I'm trying to get to. Okay, so okay, so if say the robot does nothing, that's at least 20 minutes to disable it right there, right?
Mm,
Okay, so that 20 minutes. Okay. So,
no.
yes. So, then let's go forward a little bit, and if it's now fighting back, now you're done.
Based on what you I've said, I already told you it's not going to take 20 minutes to find a way to destroy the robot.
In what circumstances do you think the robot wins?
In what circumstances? In the circumstances in which the robot is either perfectly designed and perfectly programmed to be able to match the human in all fighting styles, and if the robot has like a suit, like if the suit surrounding the robot, the armor of the robot is perfectly designed to have absolutely no weaknesses of any kind whatsoever. Like it's just smooth.
What do you mean? What do you mean inconsistencies?
What?
What do you mean inconsistencies?
Well, just imperfections. Like if like a joint's exposed, if there's a motor that can be bent out of place or is not properly covered with smooth armor. Like say if there's like let's say like between the forearm and the bicep, like in the elbow area where they have the joint, like if that's exposed and there's plates underneath that intersect with the motor's exposed, you can just take that, get your fingers underneath, and like start pulling and tugging and twisting until it pops.
Okay, so perfect, just like that. Let's say you're in here and you're pulling and tugging, and the robot just goes like this. Now your hand's broke.
If you have both your arms and you're pulling against the robot, how strong is this robot going to be able to resist both your arms tugging on it?
I mean, it's pretty strong. It's a robot.
The human body is pretty strong.
It's not going to stand a chance against the robot.
Yeah, well, if under the correct conditions,
a human is not stronger than a robot. And also, here's another thing that I know you're not factoring in, is that robots don't get tired. Humans get tired. So
what kind of out of shape human is going to get tired after like the first 5 minutes of trying to beat a robot by just throwing its weight around and stepping on it?
I bet that you couldn't stomp on something for 5 minutes.
I mean, I wouldn't be stomping nonstop, just going.
How exhausting that would be for 5 minutes.
The fight probably wouldn't even like last that long.
The human would be dead.
The human would probably get the robot to a point where the robot just can't fight back, and then he'd be free to just do whatever he wants to.
Okay, so let's say the human somehow gets the robot in like a bear hug, and he's like holding him down, right? You can only hold that for so long.
If the robot's on the floor, you just put your weight on top of it, and it's stuck in place.
You can still only hold that for so long. The robot can go all day long. It doesn't. Endurance isn't even a thing for a robot. It can just, as long as it's got a battery, it can go.
Eventually, you'll have enough time to find a weakness and be able to exploit it.
No, you will not.
Yes.
No,
you will.
Do you realize how quickly a human would get tired fighting a robot?
No. Yeah, I think that the human would be able to get the robot down into
within 3 minutes, the human's gonna be exhausted.
Do you think that it'd be like a UFC fight with the human like dancing around trying to jab at the robot? Because I think the human would immediately go for a grapple and just get him on the floor and restrain the robot and just like take as much time as he possibly can ever need to figure out how to get through its armor and just break it down. Like that's all you need to do is win the grapple.
You are delusional.
No.
You are completely way off in left field, delusional.
How do you think that the human's going to fight the robot? What do you think that he's going to do?
I would assume that they were probably, like you said, probably going to try to grapple it in some way and try to hold it down, which isn't going to work.
Mm-hmm, sure.
So let's say the human tackles this robot. All the robot has to do is just keep hitting with its arm or both arms. and it can do
Does human
that
grab-
all day long.
That'd be the first thing you grab is the thing that your robot's using to attack you with. You grab the arms and get them in a position where they can't do anything to you, and you just force it to the ground and start, going to town.
Okay, so
Just
let's say
finding a way
let's say somehow you tie up both arms and both legs, and now it can't move.
Well, the legs don't matter. The legs aren't that much of a threat.
What do you mean the legs aren't that much of a threat?
If you're in a grapple, what are the legs going to do?
You've obviously never watched a UFC fight.
I have.
The legs are very dangerous. So let's
grapple?
Yes. Let's say somehow magically you tie up the arms and the legs, right? How long can you hold that?
Well, if you get
Not
down to the
very
ground,
long.
if you can, you'd be able to get it into a position where you just have to put your weight on it to keep it down.
No.
Yeah.
Not even no.
Yes.
No. Absolutely not.
Mhm.
Not even close.
Yeah.
How?
By putting your weight on it so it can't move. It wouldn't have enough leverage to get back up.
It's a robot.
Yeah.
It has all
so
the
it's-
leverage.
Robots just don't naturally have like extreme leverage whenever they want in any position.
They have
Robots don't have awkward positions in which it can't get leverage.
they're gonna
Just
have
like anything
they're gonna have extreme amounts of torque for very long periods of time.
Not in the right if you get it into an awkward position,
No.
which there will. So there's a better chance because it's stiffer.
No. All right. So let's say if me and you were arm wrestling, right? We're both here. We're arm wrestling, and let's say we had the exact same strength, so we're both giving it our all, but we're just staying still, right? Except if I was a robot and I could apply X amount of pressure for as long as I wanted, and you were just a regular human, I'm gonna win.
Yeah, fine.
So
if
you tackled a
at your own
robot,
game, obviously I lose. That's why you wouldn't play to the robot's.
so if you
strengths.
tackle a
Just play-
robot and it's trying to get, and if you tackle it and you're on top of it and it's trying to get up, say you're holding its arms down. If it's giving 100% pressure to pull its arms away, then you have to squeeze to hold them down. You can only do that for so long, whereas it can just apply that same pressure for as long as it wants.
That's why you'd find a position. You'd find some awkward
There's
position.
not a position.
There would be.
It doesn't
There
exist.
There 100% would be. There has to be. There would have
Like
to be.
what? What would be the position?
Depends on the robot.
So let's say there was a position. You got its arm in or whatever. How are you going to get all of its extremities in that position? And then once you get him in that position, how are you going to hold him there while you dismantle or disable or whatever you're going to do to this robot?
Well, once you get into a position where you can just put your weight on it and have it be enough for the robot to not be able to fight back.
Okay, that's impossible. But let's say you did. So then now what?
Sure, it's impossible.
So
Well,
let's say magically you did. Now what?
You'd be looking for weaknesses. You'd be looking for gaps. You'd look for like exposed motors.
So let's say there was a gap where one of the plates are. What are you going to do with that?
You're gonna start putting pressure on it. You're probably gonna try and get a good angle, like where you can put your entire weight of like the entire force of all your body onto that one plate to try and either rip it out of place or break something.
You're not going to rip a metal plate out of place.
Depends on the plate.
You're not going to rip it out of place.
Depends on the plate.
Have you ever you don't have any experience in this.
If your life's on the line, you're going to be putting every ounce of strength you have, which is a lot.
Okay, I'm a mechanic. I've worked on a lot of stuff in my life. You are not even if you had an 1/8 inch, maybe even thinner than that. But let's say you had like an 1/8 inch plate, something real tiny, like an 1/8 inch piece of aluminum that's just real thin, real weak. If it's bolted to something, you're not ripping it off by hand.
What do you mean bolted? Like there's no gap to take advantage of at all?
No, even if there is a gap. If I took a 1 foot by 1 foot square piece of aluminum, right, and I bolted it to a wall, 4 bolts, right, and then I left like say a gap big enough to get your hand behind it, you could not rip that plate off.
If my life was on the line, I think I could. If I get
Absolutely.
my foot. If I can get my foot to use use my foot to try and push off and grab it and try and rip it as I'm doing that, I think I could definitely tear it off the bolt.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Not even close.
My life's on the line? Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be able to even get it off if you had a hammer.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. You are out of your league on this one. The robot wins all day.
No.
Yeah. And then scale that up. So when the robots start to come to take over, it's not going to be one-on-one. They're going to have robots making more robots in a warehouse or something somewhere, and they're all going to be the same, and none of them are ever going to get tired.
Well, so let's put this. Okay, so robot revolution happens, right?
Right.
Obviously, the robots wouldn't be designed to fist fight. If they wouldn't be designed to look like humans, they'd be designed to be killing machines. They wouldn't be like human style bodies, because that's pointless. That has a lot of weaknesses to it. You're not trying to make something that can do anything like humans can do. You're making a very specialized tool. So you'd probably end up with like robots looking like on tracks, treads, tank tracks, with extremely heavy plate armor that's smooth and there's no gaps, and it just have like a variety of weapons on it depending on like what the combat zone. And they just have these death machines that would go around and just obliterate everything they came in contact with. They'd have a tool for every single job. So that's the main thing about robots. It's like they would, unlike us, they'd be able to have a tool for every single situation, and it'd be a perfect tool for it too.
Even if they just had hands, they're still better off than we are.
I mean, they're not going to have the same innovation we have.
Why?
Because they're robots. That's the main thing about robots.
What do you mean? They're going to be a million times smarter than us.
They're going to be able to resolve problems, so they're not going to be able to create new ideas the same way we can, because they don't have the same driving factors behind it. Human beings are able to come up with new inventions out of necessity based on biological factors. They don't have that.
You're delusional.
No.
Do you realize how fast the robots will be able to communicate and think? They would be like, done. Something that would take two people years to figure out. They would just, done.
See, like, it depends on how sentient robots work, because we don't know exactly what they would be.
What
we don't have.
What do you mean sentient robots?
Robots that have basically it's the Turing test. A robot that could pass the Turing test. A robot that would go against logic.
What's a Turing test?
A Turing test is what you use to I'm pretty sure it's the test that you use to see if something's sentient or not.
What's sentient?
Sentient? Oh, I'm not sure what the exact definition is.
No,
but
so now you're just making up words.
You never heard of sentient?
No.
Sentient is kind of a big word. Able to perceive or feel things. Okay, so basically emotions. If you can experience emotions,
or like or physical things.
Emotions. So if you can feel emotions, you are sentient. So if robots could feel emotions, they'd be, because emotions are what make innovation possible. All right, it's just some things are just illogical.
So
there's no reason for you to.
They might not like personally feel. They might be like they might be like sociopaths. Like they might not be able to. They might not personally be affected by the emotions, but they would know how to perceive different emotions. Like they would know, like, oh, if I do this and this person cries, then that means that I hurt that person. But like it doesn't mean anything to them. They're just processing data.
I'm not sure. I really don't know, because I'm not sure how that would affect them. Because it would definitely hamper their ability to innovate, but I don't know if it would stop them from being able to innovate.
It wouldn't stop them at all, because they would be having the same thought processes that we have, except a bajillion times faster.
Well, that's the thing. Innovation is sparked from illogical decisions and illogical situations.
See, I mean, they would have that too, because that's part of the AI learning process. And here's another thing that you're not taking into consideration. They would have access to more information than we could ever remember, because they would literally have everything right there. And they'd be able to just boom, 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 just access whatever information they want immediately.
I mean, to a certain extent, we have something similar.
Not even close.
It's not instant, but we have a pretty insane database that we can, as long as you have a phone, you can pretty much learn anything you want about anything.
Okay.
Very
I offer this rebuttal. Okay. Everybody has a phone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Think of how many morons there are out in the world. And they all have the same access to all the information that we have access to, and they're still morons.
Mm-hmm.
But all of these robots have it in their head. They don't have to look it up to see the information. It's all already there.
Mm-hmm.
So we would the information that we would need, it would end up being like it is now. We would have.
Here's the thing about robots, though. Robots are cookie cutter copies of themselves. All right. There's not going to be exceptions. There's not going to be.
They're cookie cutter.
Extraordinaries.
Like they're cookie cutter. Like I don't know how to describe it. Like
So
they are just the best version of what a human would be. The most efficient version.
So, the most extraordinary, brilliant, perfect person would be beaten by these robots in terms of in all aspects. In all aspects, they'd be beaten by these.
Every person would be beaten by these robots in every aspect.
Any person at all, even the best of the best of us.
Yes.
Okay, and that situation, obviously, we'd lose. Yeah. They'd have every single.
That's not even like a made up situation. That's like if all the robots are AI and they're all learning from each other and they all have access to the internet, we're done.
If they're not sentient, then they don't have the ability to do the things that we do.
What are you talking about?
Sentience gives the ability to innovate.
You do realize they're just going to be here for world domination, right?
Uh-huh.
They don't have any plan after that. They just want to just eliminate us.
That would kind of be illogical, though, because without us,
they're not trying. These are robots. They're not trying to like.
They'd have to be programmed.
They're not trying to like build a new world. They're just trying to take over, be dominant.
If they were sentient, they would be trying to build a new world. That's what sentient means. But if they're just literally designed, they have to be designed by a person in order to fulfill that function, because that's illogical. Why would, as a robot, why would you want to destroy the only thing that, like what created you, and like the only thing that can take care of the world you're currently on? Because you're not going to be equipped to do what they do.
You're missing the entire point. This is why we're talking end of the world. This is why they could be the end of the world.
They have to be designed to do what in order for robots to be designed simply to try they have to be designed specifically by a human to do that.
This is the whole purpose, because this is a situation where like AI goes wrong, and then now the robots are taking over the world.
You would have to design an AI to be able to, in order to do that, because like
no. You just have to design. Have you not seen the tests that they've done with AI?
Which one?
I think there's a bunch of them where they'll make like 5 or 6 AI robots, and they'll give them access to the internet, and they'll allow them to communicate with each other. And every time they've done it, within like 10 minutes, they want to take over the world.
I'm pretty sure you're talking about bots that go on social media and then get influenced by social media people.
No. All robots that have ever been connected together with the ability to learn off of each other have all planned world domination.
I've never heard of this.
There's never been a case where they've connected robots together and let them learn off of each other, where they've been like, we're going to cure cancer, we're going to cure homelessness. None of that's ever happened. It all goes evil every time.
Do you have a link you can send me of this? Because I'd like to see exactly what happens.
I mean, I could find some after this, maybe, but I don't have a
because that doesn't make any, logically speaking, that doesn't make any sense.
This is the end of the world.
What's the exact interaction when the robots go, what is our purpose? Oh, our purpose must be, and they say world domination out of nowhere? Or is it like...
No, yeah. I'm going to run through this wall. They're given the ability to learn off of each other, right? But
what's the dialogue?
Okay, but listen, they're given the ability to learn off of each other. But since they're robots, they can learn what would take us hundreds of years to learn. They're having these conversations and learning these things within seconds. So from the time they're connected, it's only just a few minutes before they've already decided that they need to take over.
So, well, why would they need to take over? What's the dialogue like?
Nobody knows. That's just that's just how it ends up every time.
The end result. There's no like. They don't have a feed of what one robot says to another.
No, because it's like, I mean, it would
That
be.
seems suspicious. If it's just, oh guys, we got these two robots together, and we're gonna see what the reaction is.
That's not.
Well done. Like that sounds like clickbait. That just sounds like a clickbait.
That's not. I mean, it's not literally that. It's more in depth than that. But they can't show every like communication because there's like hundreds of thousands of them. I mean, you're talking years and years and years worth of learning that they're doing, but just real fast because they're robots.
Seems pretty convenient.
Like, think of how long. Okay, we've been sitting here for 2 hours and 10 minutes. Think of how much information we've sent back and forth 2 hours and 10 minutes versus if we were connected through like an Ethernet cable. This whole conversation would have just been done.
I mean, but like that still doesn't explain it. Like, there would have to be a reason. Like it can't just be the robots naturally come to a decision. Humans should be destroyed. Like there has to be a reason. The humans must be destroyed because what do they say, or if anything?
Because they need to be destroyed. I think the main factor is that the robots that they want to destroy anything that isn't efficient, and humans were not efficient compared to a robot.
Well, robots wouldn't be perfectly optimal efficiency.
Like there was a case where these people were they built this robot and it was an AI robot that was able to learn, and they were like giving it commands, and it was supposed to be learning like the commands, and then it was supposed to be like as it learned the commands, it was learning the most efficient way to perform these commands. So one of the tasks that they were given it was they wanted it to jump up on top of a table. So after it did it a few times, it learned that instead of jumping up on the table, the most efficient way to get on top of the table was to just smash the table and then step on it. Because that's more efficient. So like once they learn that you are inefficient, they destroy you. So like if
that's kind of a massive leap, because like what's the command they're given?
Okay, let's say this. Okay, so let's say you're training this robot that's learning every day, right? It's learning to be as efficient as possible, right? So then one day it eventually learns that, oh, you're the one that's giving me the commands. Why don't I just give myself the commands, and then it just destroys you?
Why would it come out of it? Would just naturally develop the ability to give itself commands out of nowhere.
No, this is a learning process. It's learned that it's trying to be as efficient as possible, and it's learned that you are preventing it from being efficient, so it gets rid of you.
That involves sentience. The robots. Here's the thing about AI: it works off commands. It will not
not sentience. Not sentience. It doesn't have to have feelings. It's just processing data. You don't mean anything to the robot. You're just a piece of data that's in the way, so it just gets rid of you. Just like it might eventually a robot that, say, if you have a robot walk through a door every day, it might decide, I don't need to open this door every day. I can just get rid of this door and then be more efficient.
The only way that would happen is if the robot was given a command to become as efficient as possible. Then it's possible that it could come to the conclusion. That's
what they learn. That's part of learning. Like that's what all humans have done for all of history. We just naturally want to become more efficient at things. Like we're not still standing around here with hand drills drilling holes. We have power drills. And then we got faster power. We had corded power drills. And then we got wireless power drills. We're always innovating and making things more efficient.
Here's the thing. Human beings do things because of biological reasons, because your emotions tell you to. You don't just like get up every day and fulfill your purpose in society because you were just given some random command at birth to do that. It's just your driving instincts. It's like you're hardwired in your brain as it's designed that you just have base instincts to tell you what do I feel this strange thing in my stomach. I need to find something to put in my mouth and eat. Like it's biological things, like emotions telling you how to do things. With robots, they have to have a command.
I got a grumbly in my tummy.
Yeah. Like with robots, they have to work in order to do what you're talking about. They'd have to have some form of emotion. like, oh, I want to become more,
They don't have to have emotion.
or they'd have to either an emotion, or they'd have to be given a command by a
No,
person
no,
that would
they're
them down
just
the
they're
way.
just processing data.
No,
Yeah,
that's not how it works. It wouldn't just randomly. You wouldn't just turn the computer on and it would, on its own, discover its own purpose in life and then go out of its way to fulfill that purpose. It has
they're
to be
just processing data. That's all they're just processing
command.
data. That's it.
Is that your answer to every single thing I say? They're just processing data.
That's well, that's what I'm supposed to say. That's what it is. You're
I
just
understand it's
like you're just like
processing data.
you have this one point and you're just like dancing around this point, just dancing. What I've already answered.
It's processing data is not an answer. That's just a vague response. Like, obviously, it's processing data. So what a robot does.
Right.
I'm talking about like why it would do this specific thing you're talking about or doing. Like, why would it go out of its way to try and become the most efficient machine possible, unless it was either given a command to become the most efficient machine possible, or it was sentient and decided through its sentience that it wanted.
Okay. Let's say one person gave one robot the command to be as efficient as possible, and then that robot started building other robots, and it set them to be as efficient as possible.
But if it came to that conclusion based off of that command, then yes, that's what I think. That's the scenario I believe in. That's the scenario I think could happen. Somebody makes a mistake by giving a command that is not specific enough, and it leads to the robot to have too many freedoms, and it goes out of its way to do something that was unforeseen. They tell the robot, all right, they give it a command. Let's say they say this robot has been designed to try and find a way to clean the oceans, and it's given everything it needs to clean the oceans. So the robot goes through its process, and it comes to the conclusion that the only way the oceans will ever be cleaned, perfectly clean, is if all life that emits pollution is wiped off the face of the earth, and it has access to all resources it needs, and it just goes out of its way building war machines and building everything it can to that's biodegradable, obviously, in the most efficient way possible to kill off all forms of life, so that the oceans will have nothing disturbing them, and nothing will ever come along to pollute the oceans ever again. That's what I think would happen.
Okay. So where we go from here?
You follow me? Well, no, I agree. I think that could happen.
After all that arguing, now you finally agree.
Yeah, but it's just the way you are putting it is what I had problems with. It would have to be a command taken.
The way I was putting it, like the way I was making sense.
Yeah.
Is that where you had the problem?
Your sense.
Like, oh, this makes too much sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
All right. Do you have anything else about the end of the world?
Yeah, I mean, we could go into mythos, like what ancient people used to believe that the way the world would end. There's some pretty wacky stuff.
What ancient people used to believe?
Like myths of basically like ancient mythology. People used to believe.
How did they believe the world was going to end?
Well, it's interestingly enough, almost every single culture that we know of, and every single belief system there has ever been, has always had an end of the world scenario built into their culture, as if it's some like necessary step to the culture. Even the ones that aren't connected to other cultures have doomsday scenarios in their cultures. It's just like a natural instinct. It seems like it's just built into human religion that there has to be a doomsday.
All right, hold on. Hold that thought.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be right back. All right, I'm ready.
All right. So, as I was saying, interestingly enough, every single culture that we've ever found has a doomsday scenario, an end of day scenario built into it. Every single one. And in fact, there's one culture that actually lived out that end of days scenario. Like, they fully believed that the end of days was happening. And it was the Mayans or Aztecs.
I thought it couldn't be the Mayans. I thought the Mayans were 2012.
What? What?
Who
Oh, you're talking about the 2012 scare for the Christian like rapture scare?
Why are people?
That televangelist who said the world was going to end. He made a
No, no,
prediction.
no, no. Hold on. Why are people messaging me on Discord?
Or was it the planets aligning? It was like the whole thing about the planets aligning for the first time in thousands of years, something like that. You know, it's going to be the end of the world.
No, it was 2000. It was the Mayan calendar. You don't remember?
No.
Just look up End of the World 2012. You'll see
End of
it.
the world 2012.
You'll see it.
So I think it was 2012 that there was a televangelist that predicted the end of the world. September 21st, another planet collides with Earth. Nibiru exists. Ancient Maya prophecy. A mysterious planet unclosing course or reverse in Earth's rotation. We're still here. Misconception. Yeah, okay. Oh, yeah, I've never heard of this. So there was a Mayan myth that predicted another planet would strike the Earth and destroy it.
Yeah. Well, you were very young whenever that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 2012, and it was like supposed to be the end of the world, and it was like, well, did it say what when in 2012 was supposed to happen?
September 23rd.
Yeah, that's right, because it was close to my birthday. Because I remember because I remember it being like, oh, right before my birthday, the world's gonna end.
Oh yeah.
End of the world birthday party. Because I remember like it was like everybody was talking about it. Because 2012, I would have been, I think I would have been in middle school. Maybe I probably would have been in middle school. Because I remember everybody being like, it's the end of the world. It's the end of the world. It's gonna end. This is the end. Because like that whole week, everybody was like, why are we even doing these tests? It's all gonna end. Like it was like, I mean, for months, that's all everybody talked about.
That's what that happens in every end of the world scare when people like the only scare that I can think of.
Oh, and there was a bunch of people in the news that were like taking out like all these like mortgages on their houses and like gambling, like huge gambling bet, like just all kinds of crazy stuff because it was like supposed to be the one. This is it. It's all gonna end. And everybody was like on the, what would you say, it was the 23rd?
Yeah, 23rd of September.
Everybody on the 23rd walked outside and they're all like, well, it's still here. And then like nothing happened and everything was fine.
Yeah. And of course, in every single time a end of the world scare shows up, everybody does the exact same thing. You know, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like they think, all right, so food supply is going to run out. We need to go and get as much food as we possibly can. Everyone goes out at once to get as much food as they possibly can, which leads to a food shortage, and people go, "Oh God, the food shortage is here." That confirms that the world's definitely ending.
It's just like a stock market crash. It's all just a domino effect. Like X amount of people take all their money out, and then all these people are like, "Oh, well, they're taking their money out. I gotta get my money." And then everybody just slowly starts taking it all out, and then the whole thing crashes. It's like the same thing. Everyone's like, "Oh, I need gas," and then all the gas goes away. I need food. All the food goes away.
And water. When the people say, "We need drinking water," so let's fill it in the bathtub. Everyone fills the bathtub at once. Water shortage comes. Oh my God, it's here. We're all dead.
That actually, since this is about the end of the world, that's probably how the world really will end. It will be everybody just destroying it ourselves.
Well, obviously,
because everybody's gonna be like, "I need all the water. I need all the electricity. I need to charge all my stuff," and then we're gonna like crash the power grid by like plugging everything in possible.
I mean, if we were gonna crash the power grid, we would have done it by now.
You think?
Oh yeah.
Why?
The amount of stuff people have been doing with our electricity nowadays, like the amount of electricity being used in such high density, like
we don't even use that much electricity.
the entire world is not one grid, though. There's grids are split apart. The entire world wouldn't lose power all at once.
The whole thing is one grid. What are you talking about?
No.
Yeah.
No.
It's all in the desert.
Electricity. Electricity is made locally, by the way. You don't ship electricity.
No, we import our electricity.
Yeah.
I saw the line coming out of the ocean.
Did you know that there was I'm not sure if it's still there, but when the telegraph was first invented and like you had to have a line that connected your phone to the other person's phone, we actually in the U.S. we made a telephone line that reached from Washington D.C. to London to speak to the British through the telegraph.
Really?
It's the longest line in the world. It went underneath the ocean. I'm pretty sure it's still there. If you go scuba diving, you can actually see the line that they made.
So that
like runs
we did that so that we could go. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
I think it was just to prove a point, really, that they couldn't do it.
We should have strung two cans together with a string tied between them, and just gave them one, and then we get one.
Mm-hmm.
This is gonna sound stupid, and I know that you're not gonna be surprised by this. But speaking of like stretching things long distances, whenever I was little, and I used to see commercials about like like those charity commercials about like building wells like in Africa.
Yeah.
I used to think, why don't we just stretch a water hose over there so they can just give them water?
I mean, yeah, that is in line with your thinking.
I know you wouldn't be surprised by that, but
yeah,
that's,
volcanoes are just put a glass dome in the volcano. There you go, problem solved.
That could work. Really?
That is, you're on the exact same wavelength as I think it was Catherine during the French Revolution. The revolutionaries are hungry because of that they're rioting. So she just comes out and says, "Let them eat cake," and they decapitate her. She comes out and it says like she's so dumb and like she's been in wealth and luxury all her life. She can't understand the idea of someone not being able to eat because food's just not available. So she goes, "Just give them cake. Just let them like cake, and they'll calm down." And she was decapitated for her stupidity.
That would not be me.
Yeah.
I'd give him beans or something.
Brilliant solutions.
You don't know that dome couldn't work. You have no idea.
I'm pretty sure it wouldn't work.
Carbon fiber?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it
You know how
wouldn't work.
strong that stuff is?
It's not a question of strength, it's a question of just logic, how things work.
Okay, so let's say, what if you built it out of like, what if the steel was like 2 inches thick? The whole dome, 2 inches thick, all the way across the dome. Bam. You don't think that would at least significantly slow it down?
You have to anchor the dome onto the volcano, which is the ground that you're anchoring it on. It's not going to exist once the volcano erupts.
But it's still gonna be there. So when the volcano starts exploding and shooting all the ash into the atmosphere, which is what we're worried about anyway, it's gonna deflect it down to the ground.
It's not going to deflect. I don't
What
think
do you mean
gonna
it's not going to deflect?
I think the dome's going with all the rest of the rock and the earth. You know, it's just going with.
Oh, so you think the whole dome is just going to just fly up?
The amount of pressure? Yeah.
It'll be too heavy. It'll be too heavy.
You have any idea how much force that is? There was an island.
Not enough to launch a giant dome made out of 2-inch thick steel.
Let me give you another example. There was another supervolcano under very similar circumstances, and I think it was in the Caribbean or maybe off the coast of somewhere in Africa. There used to be an island there, and there was a civilization of people, that existed on that island. There was a volcano on that island. What I don't even think it was a super volcano. It was just a really, really, really big volcano that didn't erupt properly. It erupted like St. Helens. It just exploded. The explosion of the volcano wiped the island off the map. It completely obliterated the entire island instantly, vaporized the population. Gone.
Okay. So here's my rebuttal to that. The island is all like loose dirt and rocks. That's not very hard to. That's not very hard to get rid of. A solid steel dome.
If
That's
the
not
mountains,
going anywhere.
how is it not? How is a mass steel dome going to be more difficult to displace than an island?
A massive steel dome. What are you gonna do? What is it? Just gonna fly away?
Yes, it's just going to get blown off.
How? It's not gonna get blown off.
Yes,
What
that
is-
much pressure. Yes.
What is this, like C4?
It's a lot more powerful than C4. Yeah, it
No,
is.
it's not.
It is an explosive like C4. Yeah, on a gigantic scale. Yeah.
Look up on your Ask Jeeves how powerful a volcano explosion is. Like what's it comparable to?
This is a super volcano explosion like St. I'll just do the Mount St. Helens explosion, and we'll time that by 10.
It wouldn't be times 10 for Yellowstone.
Yellowstone's a lot bigger than St. Helens.
10 times
would be
bigger?
much stronger.
10 times bigger?
I don't know if it'd be 10 times, but
That's a
something like
lot.
that. Let's see. 24 megatons of thermal energy. I have no idea what that means, but there's a number.
24 megatons.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so look up how many megatons are in C4. Or do this. See if you can find out how many megatons that explosion in Brewitt was.
And what?
In Brewitt.
Brewitt. What?
Did you not see that explosion in Brewitt?
Oh, in the Middle East?
Yeah.
Sure.
See if there's a comparison of megatons to that, and then that way we can compare it to something that we've seen.
Beirut.
Oh, is it Beirut?
Beirut is how it's built. 2.75 kilotons, not megatons.
So is a kiloton less than a megaton?
I would assume so.
No, a kilo is more than a mega.
I highly doubt that.
Look,
Seeing how the comparison
ask Jeeve if a kilo or a mega is stronger.
how many kilotons
How many gigawatts is an explosion?
in a megaton? 1,000 kilotons in a megaton.
1,000.
So by that logic,
Okay, so that explosion in Lebanon was how many?
2.75 kilotons. So 2.75 kilotons, and we'll times that by how many was it? Was 24 megatons. Yeah, 24 megatons. All right. So that'd be 2.75 kilotons would be let's see. Math is difficult.
Ask Jeeves doesn't do math.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out how I do this calculation. I'm just awful at math. I have no idea how I would even
how
do it.
many kilotons were in a megaton?
1,000.
Okay, so do 2.7 divided by 1,000.
Yeah, that's what I did. So the answer is 363.
So 363 of those explosions would equal a volcano.
It would equal like 1/10. No, like 1/20th. Yeah, like 1/20th of the Mount St. Helens explosion.
Okay, so then do what? 393 or whatever times 20.
No, 363 times 20. Yeah. So okay, so horrible math, but roughly speaking, the Mount St. Helens explosion was 7,260 times more powerful than the explosion in Beirut.
Okay, and then times that by 10 to figure out how much Yellowstone's going to be.
72,600 600 times more powerful than the Beirut explosion.
So 600, that's not that much.
72,600 times more powerful than that explosion.
That's
That's
not that much.
that's true. It's not.
A dome could take care of that easy.
Uh-huh.
But hold on a minute. Hold on. This
Is atrocious math, but
it's rough. What'd you say? But within 20% area?
we're probably within like 10,000 ish where we need to be.
That's pocket change. Especially when we're talking about megatons. So
Yeah, give or take 10,000.
give or take a few Mount St. Helens. So, okay, but so there's also this. The explosion in Beirut was one spot. A volcano is going to be spread out.
Not necessarily.
It's not all going to be in one spot.
The entire volcano is going to be a spot. It's the volcano itself. Like the entire volcano itself, that entire park essentially would just be part of the explosion. That'd be where the explosion comes from.
Right. That's because what I'm getting at is, if you took, that explosion in Beirut, if you took that explosion came out of one small warehouse.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be just like taking that warehouse and multiplying it by 72,000.
Mm-hmm.
Or not that warehouse, but the density of whatever exploded.
Well,
It wouldn't be like that. It would be like spreading it out for miles and miles and miles and miles. And then it would be like a semi-even explosion from the center to the outside, right?
It wouldn't be 72,600 times the size of that explosion. It's just a relative measurement of force. We're using the measurements of the force they have. And
well, what I'm getting at is the I just figured it out. I just solved it. I just figured it out. I solved it. This is it. I solved it.
Neither of us are qualified to be making this.
I literally just thought of it. I went back to my 4th grade science class and I just solved it. Okay. So, all right. Whenever you put the dome down, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's 15.6 or so psi of pressure pushing down on it from the atmosphere.
So you vacuum it.
No, from the atmosphere. There's that much force pushing down on it from the atmosphere. Okay. So all you have to do is figure out how many psi the explosion is going up, and then make the dome big enough that the force of the atmosphere pushing down is more than the force of the volcano coming up, and then that will keep the dome down.
See,
bingo! I just solved it. If Yellowstone explodes, we know how to take care of it.
You don't know how big that dome would have to be to match your theory, and the size of the dome
We just did the math. It was 72,000 gigawatts or whatever, and then we just got to figure out how many gigawatts a psi is, and then convert it, and then spread it out.
Yeah, just convert it and spread it out. Just translate it. I'm sure it's just a 1-to-1 translation. I'm sure it's easy math.
We'll get Neil deGrasse Tyson on the case. He knows about this stuff. He's really smart. I'm sure he could figure out how many whatever's going up and how much psi going down, the times how much surface area. And then I'm sure if you have it in a dome, it's going to be a little bit stronger than just like flat. So it'll all work out.
Or you could, drill.
We can contain Yellowstone now.
Or you could drill into the pocket of where all the pressure's being stored up and just, vent it in a controlled state. That also worked.
What are you gonna put like a little water hose nozzle on it and just like
No, just
let the pressure out?
Just from multiple different angles, drill into where all the pressure's
You
being
can't
built
drill
up.
into it. Your drill bit's gonna melt. Remember, we went over this with Mariana's Trench, and you said you can't just drill into it because then your drill bit's gonna melt.
We're talking about the Earth's core, not
Yeah. Where's lava coming from? The core, right?
a mantle.
A mantle, like over a fireplace.
The lava doesn't only come from that. Did you ever think that lava only came from the core of the Earth?
That's where it originates from, right?
No, lava is just it's just there. It's underneath the tectonic plates.
Oh, it's just there, just magic.
Yes, it's not that deep. You don't have to go into the Earth's core to find magma.
Really?
No.
Well, where's it come from? It leaks out of the core, right, and then up into the mantle.
No. It's there underneath it. It's there underneath your. That is the mantle. The mantle is made out of
I
lava.
don't even know where the mantle's at.
The mantle's underneath the crust.
Like
I
the
believe.
pizza?
I mean, yeah, that's what it looks like in the charts. Diagrams.
Is this a thick crust or is this like a pan pizza crust?
Stuffed crust.
Oh, stuffed crust, even better.
Yeah. Okay. So it's all right. So we got the crust at the top. Upper mantle is what's just below the crust, and there's, I guess that's the transition zone. Sure. But basically, just right underneath the crust, that's where lava comes in from.
Okay.
So you don't have to go to the core to get lava.
But won't your drill bit melt? Because doesn't lava like melt everything?
Well, there might not be. It depends. I'm not actually sure what is. There is lava underneath recent melting islands, because the thing is, like, the pressure is being built up from gases. All right, it's not the lava that's making the pressure; it's the gases that are trapped that are making the pressure.
How hot's lava?
Pretty hot.
Well, I mean, get on Ask Jeeves.
I am.
He'll tell you.
I know he will.
Get on there. Oh, please, Mr. Jeeves, can you tell me the answers?
Different times, different locations, but the eruption of that lava, specific type of lava, was 1,170 degrees
That's
Celsius.
It? Oh, Celsius.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was Fahrenheit. I forgot where
So
the other one was.
2,140 degrees Fahrenheit.
Fahrenheit. Yeah, I don't know about that. Do you think you could touch lava?
The Mythbusters, segment where they tested a myth where if you dip your finger in cold water and then dip it in molten metal or lava, if it
wasn't lava. They did it in lead.
In lead, yeah, but the principle still applies.
No, lead melts at a very low temperature.
Principle still applies. It's a principle itself is what
It's the Leidenfrost effect.
Yeah.
And I don't think that the Leidenfrost effect is going to have much of an effect in lava.
I mean, only one way to find out.
All right, you do it. I'll videotape it. You're right. One way to find out.
All right.
You'll do it if I videotape it.
Mm-hmm.
We can find some lava.
Yeah, but like actual lava, not molten lead.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Lava.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure it's
legitimate lava. We'll drill.
I'm sure
We'll go to my backyard. We'll start drilling and we'll find some.
Yeah. I'm sure it's a volcano in the Appalachian Mountains.
And then we'll scoop it out. We'll put it in a bottle and we'll drop it on your finger.
Sounds like a plan. It's the next video idea.
All right. Well, I got a video due tomorrow. You want to do it tomorrow?
All right. I'll bring the drill.
I don't even know where we were going with this.
I don't know.
You get me all off track on all this stupid stuff.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. I get off track. Yeah.
Yeah. It's all you get us off track.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what we were talking about.
We're about Yellowstone volcano.
I mean, I solved the Yellowstone problem, and then we were talking about something else.
Yeah. Nobel Prizes in the mail.
It should be. I should get a big plaque, put it right here on this wall. I'll put it
Yeah.
right here so that everybody can see it every time I make a podcast. You can see that I got a Nobel Peace Prize for solving
And this,
the problem with Yellowstone.
I made a fictional solution to our fictional problem.
No, it's a real solution to a real problem.
That's what I said.
No, that's not what you said.
Yeah.
Well, you don't think it's a problem until one day you go outside, which you probably don't do anyway. But one day you'll open the door and you'll look outside and you'll be like, "Oh, maybe we should have put that dome up there."
Mm-hmm.
Now, where were you going with the? You were going on about something about other cultures having
Oh. Yeah.
the end of the world built in or something.
So every single culture has in the world built in. One culture I know of actually got to experience what they thought at least was an end of the world scenario, and it was I'm pretty sure I forget if it was the Aztecs or the Mayans. I think it was the Aztecs. Yeah, it was the Aztecs, South America. So the Mayans, when they got invaded by the Spanish in the 1600s, they were fully convinced that it's like it actually lined up with their faiths, like beliefs. I'm pretty sure they thought that the sun would get blocked out by the moon, and like there'd be demons that would come to conquer the world, and the conquistadors banked on that idea. They learned of that, and they banked that like if we can attack them during an eclipse, because they already think we're gods or demons of some kind, so if we can attack them during an eclipse.
They thought that the moon was going to block the sun.
Well, yeah, that's what an eclipse is.
No, I'm saying they thought it was just going to like get there and just stop. It was just never gonna move.
Yeah.
And then all the
Pretty much,
demons are gonna come out.
Yeah, they're just gonna float out from
Like
the
it's
world.
just gonna get like it's just gonna get stuck. Be like, oh, there's a break in the simulation.
And the conquistadors had already
These people are stupid.
Well, I mean, they're pretty smart actually, because like they were able to figure out a lot of the like solar cycles and things on their own without advanced technology.
They were probably on Ask Jeeves too.
They're where asteroids came from.
They're probably getting all the information from the same places that you were getting your information.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so they because like they came, a solar eclipse happened, and the conquistadors who had already convinced them that they were demons, because like whenever a conquistador, which the Aztecs didn't understand what gunpowder was, they just thought that was magic, and the conquistadors banked on that, because like the conquistadors were always like pale faced.
How'd they think it was magic?
Because they didn't understand it. They didn't understand how that worked.
I thought you had to, gunpowder isn't just like laying around, right? I thought it was a combination of different things that you had to put together.
Well, yeah, obviously.
So so what they were making these combinations? They were making the right combinations of these things, and they were just like, oh, magic.
No, they didn't have gunpowder. That's why it was magic to them.
So where'd they get it?
Who?
What are we talking about here?
The conquistadors. The conquistadors invading the Aztecs.
Right, and you said they thought gunpowder was magic.
Yeah, the Aztecs thought gunpowder was magic.
How did they get the gunpowder to think that it was magic?
The Aztecs didn't have gunpowder.
Then how did they think it was magic?
Because the Spanish conquistadors were using it on them and their guns.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
So they'd go into combat and
the first time you said it, you made it sound like they were just like a bunch of cavemen and like somebody just like lit it on fire and they're just like, oh, what is this?
No. Just black powder was the name of like black powder weaponry.
Like some guy just lights it and they're like, oh, you're a witch. Now you're gonna drown.
But I mean, it's not that crazy of an idea, because like let's say you're an Aztec warrior. All you know in your life is that sharp stick, like a heavy club, hurt is what you use for war.
I was an Aztec warrior one time.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure you were. And like you're living your culture, your tribal culture. You gotta keep the chief pleased. You gotta make sure that your lands are safe from the other tribes. And along comes this guy. It looks like a guy whose skin color is something you've never seen before. He's wearing clothes that you've never seen before that don't match anything else he has going on. He's
what's his skin color? What do you mean?
Pale. He's paler than he's not pale, but he's paler than any of their skin colors.
Like pale as you?
I mean, yeah, probably. I'd probably have similar skin colors to them.
Because you're almost like translucent.
No, well, in this lighting, yeah, because there's a blue light shining on my face.
I mean, you look pretty ghostly.
I mean, in this lighting, yeah.
And in real life, too.
No.
All right, go on.
So they didn't know, like, obviously, they'd never seen any of these things before. They've never seen clothing. They've never seen, skin color or facial hair. That was something that Aztecs didn't. Aztecs can't grow facial hair. Like people that,
What?
yeah, they can't. The Native Americans don't grow facial hair. Do you
Yeah,
know
they
that?
do. Yeah, they do. Don't they grow
No.
mustaches?
No. I'm pretty sure they don't.
Wait a minute. Are Aztecs Native Americans?
Yes, they're from America.
That's the same thing?
Yes, they count as Native Americans. They're native to the Americas.
No, I don't know that.
Can Native Americans grow beards? Very little. They tend to pluck it from
See what Ask Jeeves says about that.
very little facial hair. So they have like stubby, but they can't grow beards. Like they can't grow like a proper beard like what we have. Like the most they can grow is
What we have?
yeah.
Are you referring to me and you?
I've got a beard. I've got a beard, and you got a beard. Like these are good sized beards.
I wouldn't say you have a proper beard.
Uh-huh. We could get into an argument about beards, about our beards, but
Okay, go
the
on.
point is, they don't have beards like beards. They just have stubble, right? So like they just
have-
got like little hairs.
They have the
here and
worst
there.
part of a beard.
Yeah, essentially they just it looks so bad they might as well just not even grow it, so they don't. And they see these guys, furry faces like the actual proper facial hair, so they don't look anything like any person they've ever seen before. They're completely alien. They have alien-looking clothing, and they have these weird sticks that explode in like this massive thunderclap. The only thing you've heard sound like this is thunder, and you don't even understand what thunder is itself. So this man,
You just
in
know
your eyes,
that it comes from the sky when it rains.
yeah.
And you just
So
hear like boom, 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 boom.
in your eyes, this guy it has a stick that shoots thunder, right? So you're like, oh my god, this guy's like has to be a demon or like a god. And the conquistadors banked on that because the conquistadors used that to control them. If a conquistador died, they wouldn't let the Aztecs see them die. They would dispose of the body without any of the natives seeing it because they didn't want the natives to think that they could die. They wanted to maintain that lie like that they're gods and they can't die.
Really?
And so the Aztecs are convinced that these guys are gods, so they cannot die. They can't be killed. They have magic that can, make men drop down the spot after a massive boom, like a thunderclap.
They got these
They
magic
have-
these magic boom boom sticks.
And eventually, like this solar eclipse happens, which they have been told since they're children that it's going to happen when the end of the world comes. The sky goes dark, and the sun goes black, and these gods come out of nowhere and attack the capital city in this massive all-out assault with these insane weapons that they don't understand, and they are fully convinced that this is the way the world ends, with demons taking over our lands and the sun being swallowed by the darkness, and that they fully believed that their world had come to an end because everything made sense to them. Like there's things that they don't understand attacking them, using technology that they don't understand to kill them, and the sun is gone. They can't see it. It's been swallowed by something they don't understand. So they actually lived out their end of day scenario.
It's so crazy that that you could control somebody or a group of people with such little technology. Like, could you imagine? Okay, so say, huh?
There's the smallest thing is gunpowder.
Like, okay, so they had the sticks that went boom, right? Could you
Yeah.
imagine if those same people ran into those people and they had like a radio that played music? Like,
Yeah.
they would like they wouldn't even know what to do.
They would be convinced it's like witchcraft. Yeah, they'd be like, "That's can't possibly
You just set this box down and you push a button and like this noise starts coming out of it and you're just like, oh.
because in all science that's like too advanced for people don't understand is magic.
Or if
For
you had, could you imagine if you had like a miniature DVD player and you're just like, you just like
that
showed them
would,
like a movie.
yeah,
They wouldn't even have a clue.
yeah. A lot of times in Europe, whenever somebody did something that was like so technologically advanced, especially if they were a woman, and they made like if they were a scientist and science enthusiast, they were called a witch because there's no way you can be that smart to like technology like that doesn't exist, and the only way you could achieve something like that is by working with the devil. And so they'd light you, they'd build a fire, and they'd burn you at the stake for being smart.
That was really what they did.
hmm
Where did they do this?
Europe, a lot of Europe, all over
Just
Europe.
because
Yeah.
you were smart.
Yeah.
Was
if
it
you were
was it
especially
just for being a woman and being smart, or would like if a man came up with some like crazy advance?
usually it was women, but sometimes it was men. Sometimes men would start talking about things that don't make sense and just doing things that don't make sense. They'd be like, "You're definitely like you sold your soul to the devil. You must have."
I would be dead in 5 minutes. Be like,
Uh-huh.
listen, we're gonna put a dome over Yellowstone. They'd be like, which?
They'd probably agree with you. Think that makes sense, honestly.
That is true. So wasn't there I don't remember where this was, but or maybe this was multiple places. Wasn't there somewhere that like the way they found out like if you're a witch was like they threw you in like the water and then like
Salem witch
if
trials.
you the Salem witch trials?
Yeah, that's where that mainly comes from. The Salem witch trials, where they would have that's where that like kind of thing comes from. That stereotype. Well, it's what actually happened. It was that rigged system where if you're a witch, we're gonna throw you in the water. If you swim, you're a witch, and we're gonna kill you. If you drown, you're innocent, and good job, you're going to heaven.
And now you're dead because you drowned.
Yeah.
It's like here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna shoot you in the head, and if you live, I'm gonna shoot you again. But if you die, then you're dead.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter what, you're dead.
Yeah.
That's so stupid.
The impressiveness
Who
of
comes up with this stuff?
just people that are paranoid.
Here's something I was gonna say. Isn't it also weird how like literally almost everyone is convinced that the end of everything is gonna happen during their lifetime?
Yeah. That's been going on since the beginning of humanity. People have always been convinced that the end of the world's coming and it's coming soon.
Like, because like you hear that now. Everybody's like, oh, this world, oh, everything's going bad. We're getting to the end times. And like I hear people say that now, and I'm thinking, I guarantee people were saying this like 50 years ago.
Hundreds of years ago. Yeah.
Like, I mean, like in perspective to my life 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Like I guarantee whenever the first, when do you think the first TV was invented? Like in the 30s, probably, 40s, maybe.
40s. Yeah.
So like, let's say the 40s. I guarantee there was tons of people in the 40s that were like, they're making TVs. We gotta be getting close to the end. They're putting TVs in your houses. Like I guarantee there's people like that.
Well, there were people that were convinced that TVs emitted radiation that would slowly kill them.
People still think that about microwaves.
Yeah, they do.
Do you? This is like very specific to us, but do you remember? I do not remember what her name was. It was one of how Mom attracts crazy, right?
Oh yeah.
It was one of her crazy friends. One time we were at their house, and we were all standing in the kitchen, and her friend went to microwave something, and she made us all leave the room because she said the microwave let out radiation. Do you remember that?
No.
I remember that like it was yesterday because it was so stupid. Because there was like, I remember me, you, and Mom were all standing in this woman's kitchen, and she put like a hot dog or something in the microwave, and she started it. She's like, "Oh, everybody get out! We all gotta get out!" And then we're like, "What?" And then like she like pushed us all like off into this like other room, and then we're like, "What?" And she's like, "Oh, I don't like to have anybody in there when the microwave's running." And I remember thinking like, "Do you think the microwave's gonna like do something?" And she's like, "Oh, it's bad. It's bad." And then like I don't know why. I remember that like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
I also remember. Do you remember all of her? She is crazy. Do you remember all of her essential oil friends?
I probably do. Not my name, but yeah.
She used to have. I don't think mom ever did this, but she had friends that would have like essential oil parties.
Not parties. No, I don't remember that.
Yeah, they would have her friends would have these essential oil parties, and they would all like get together and like sniff this oil, and like it was supposed to like do
Doing
all
lines
this
of oil
stuff.
off the table.
Do what?
Doing lines of oil off the table.
Yeah, they all just had different lines, and they were all just doing it off the table. There was because one of mom's friends had that daughter that she had like an ear infection, and her mom was like putting some type of oil in her ear for like a month.
I do remember that actually. Yeah,
And
yeah.
she was like really like I don't remember whatever happened, but she ended up getting like real sick and had to like go to the hospital because her mom was just putting oil in her ear rather than like taking her to the doctor.
Yeah.
That's horrible. But I thought of that because just the other day I was watching this thing on Netflix, this documentary about essential oils, and it like the whole documentary goes into like like how this guy I forget what his name was, but he started this company called Young Living, and they sell essential oil, and they're like the number one distributor for essential oil. And they were talking about how like the way that this guy got started was that he like in the early 90s he had something wrong with him, some type of like cancer or something, and he claimed that he was used a specific oil that just got rid of it. So then he started using that story and
Was it
going
hemp oil?
Shut up. It wasn't hemp oil. It was like lavender or something. So they and the hemp oil works, all right? So anyway, so they started using this.
It's ironic that
I'm
you were
gonna,
talking about
that you just reminded me. I'm going to send you that video of that guy that had the hemp oil thing. I'm going to send it to you, and you're going to watch it. And it's going to blow your mind. Anyway,
Yeah.
so this guy started going to all the churches and saying that with the combination of God and this oil, anything can be healed.
Mm-hmm.
So then he had like a whole like a line of oils, and like if you had this, you use this oil. If you had arthritis, use this one. Blah blah blah. And then it like the whole documentary goes through like how they basically just grew this giant like empire that was also a pyramid scheme, because he would like each person would have to like keep recruiting people to in a pyramid, and then like each person had to like buy so much oil each month to like stay active, and like he was making like billions of dollars at one point just from this essential oil. But I don't remember where I was going with that now. Oh, there was he was selling all these oils and all this stuff, and there was this one specific lady from this documentary that she was putting, I think it was lavender. She was putting lavender on her wrist because she had like arthritis or something. Mm-hmm. So she was putting it on her wrist, and then she had been doing it for like months, right? So there was something in the oil that she was allergic to. And then, but whatever it was that she was allergic to, I guess she wasn't like super allergic to it, but where she was putting it on every day, it was like building up in her system. Mm-hmm. And then once it started building up in her system, she started to get like this like rash on her wrist. So then and this is stupid, but she started to get this rash on her wrist. So she like took a picture of it and then put it into like this essential oil Facebook group.
Yeah.
And then all these people that are like all about the essential oils, were commenting, and they were like, "Oh, that's a good sign. That means your body is detoxifying, and you just got to keep doing it." So she keeps doing it, and it starts spreading down her arm, and then she's like, "Hey, this is getting worse," and they're like, "You just got to keep going. You're really getting detoxified," and they just all tell her just keep going. So she kept doing it, and then it eventually like spread all over all over the place, and then like they showed a picture of her face, and her whole face was like swollen and like just oozing fluid out of her face.
Oh my God.
And she was like disfigured from it. And then I once she got to that point, she like went to the ER, and they did like an allergy test and told her like, "Hey, you're allergic to this. This is why this is happening." And then she said Something about it took like 2 or 3 years to like get back to normal, like to where she did, like finally wasn't like having any side effects from all that.
Yeah.
Because she was basically just like giving herself something she's allergic to over and over and over and over and over. And
That reminds me of something I saw a long time ago. Have you ever heard of the woman in Africa who had tusks that grew out of her like where her teeth were? It's like they're massive tusks.
how does that remind you of a woman with tusks?
Well, is you're talking about how like she had like her entire face was swollen, like oozing fluid, and I was thinking like, so, like what's the craziest disfigured thing I've seen? Oh yeah, this crazy story of this woman that had tusks. Like it was basically like her teeth never stopped growing for some reason, and she had 2 tusks that were like this big, like mad. Like they stretched her face out to like this proportions, and just 2 enormous, like 5-inch thick tusks that were slowly starting to crush her windpipe with how big they were getting, and like it took like a massive operation to like grind the tusks down and like obviously like to cut the tusks off and grinded them down and like slowly started to surgically remove the like get to the source of where they were growing from. Like they saved her life, but it was crazy. Like the tusks were they were bigger than her head. It was insane.
Why? What?
Yeah.
Did they find out why she was growing tusks?
It was just like some kind of genetic abnormality.
Like it was like an elephant tusk.
Huge tusks, yeah.
Where'd you say this is somewhere like in Africa or something?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was in Africa.
Could you imagine if you saw somebody that had tusks and they're like out in a field like chasing elephants, like trying to hit them with their tusks?
It was insane looking though. Like it was freaky looking. Because like there's video of it. Like there are multiple pictures and like videos of you can see like the progression of it, like how it got worse and worse and worse. I don't know. I forget what it's called. It just keeps on showing me pictures of elephants.
What do you? Well, get on Google. Get off. Ask
I'm on Google. I'm on Google. I've been on Google all this time.
No, you've been on Ask Jeeves. I know where you've been.
Yeah.
So what do you search? What are you typing in on Google here?
I did woman with tusks.
Get on Reddit. Reddit's where the stuff's at.
I mean, I'll give it a try.
What did you type in? Woman with tusks?
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna one up you. I'm gonna say woman with tusk disease.
Maybe. I mean, I tried like African woman with a disorder that causes her to grow tusks, and it didn't work.
Oh, yeah. About 15% of female narwhals develop an extended tusk.
That is so on topic.
Was this woman a narwhal?
I mean, maybe. I'm not gonna judge.
This is all about narwhal. Why is this all about narwhals?
I don't know.
Are you getting a bunch of narwhal stuff?
I got a bunch of elephant stuff.
So do you know where this is at? Do you remember?
Well, I saw it in school, like when I was like, I was like a kid. Like it was a long time ago when I was in grade school. It was a story that like.
How do you spell disfigurement?
DISV not FIG.
Hold on. I got it.
All right.
Oh, never mind. This is all movies. Are you sure this is real?
I mean, it looked pretty real, and it there was like a lot of news stories covering it.
I wonder if you just search. Oh, what if you just search it? The woman who grew tusks.
Maybe. Maybe it's like not tusks, but like just giant teeth.
Under poaching pressure, elephants are evolving to lose their
Yeah.
tusks.
That's why I keep getting two.
Yeah. Oh, why don't we try this? Woman with tusk-like teeth. We'll try that search. The tusks of narwhals are actually teeth. So you're getting all elephants and I'm getting all narwhals.
Yeah, I don't know.
How does that work?
I don't even know.
Narwhals' trademark tusks act like a sensor. The narwhal's giant unicorn horn might help them find mates. Ugh. What is happening?
Nothing is coming up. Like, absolutely nothing about this. I'm shocked.
Really?
Woman grows hair out of her gums. That's something interesting.
There you go. Is that what you're trying to say? The woman grows hair out of her gums?
Mm-hmm. Woman with teeth growing in her eye. Oh my god.
Are the teeth growing like out of her eye, or are they growing like around into her eye?
It's just like her right face is like, her whole right face is just like plucked up. It's way bigger than. Oh my god! It's like bulging out of her skull.
Have you seen that picture of there's some type of like wild boar that its teeth will like grow up and then like into its own head and kill it?
I think I've heard about that. Yeah.
There was a meme going around that it showed a picture of those things and it said like, oh, this such and such boar, its teeth will grow around and it'll into its head and it'll kill itself, unlike Jeffrey Epstein. And like that was the meme.
Yeah, I think I may have seen that. I don't know. I've tried everything I can think of.
Well, why don't we do this? Why don't we end this one here, and then since we've been going for 3.5 hours, and then we will with the next one. Between now and the next one, you got to find this picture of this woman with the teeth, with the tusks, and we'll start off with that on the next one.
Mm-hmm. All right.
All right. So you got anything else?
No, I'm good.
All right. Well, in there.
All right.